Okie doke. Welcome to our third episode of sex and social justice and queers and queer children, which I think is what we're talking about tonight. We're here with
That's right.
Anton. We were talking about kids and bondage gear right before we started.
Mm-hmm. And how long it's going to be before we see that just in the average sex shop? I think it'll be a while until it's in the average sex shop, but I bet you there's some stuff like available for sale right now as we speak, but I don't know if it's like mass marketed or anything like that.
You talking about like fashion or toys or
Yes, to both, I guess. Yeah, like just
lollipops?
increasingly like more leather fabric and less coverage for like children's sizes. That's what I'm kind of guessing.
Well, what is it, Balenciaga? Didn't they do that ad
Yeah,
with bondage kids?
Balenciaga. Um, they they've done a bunch of stuff with children and just like morbid like photo shoots and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a deep dive that's been done, and I can't remember all the stuff that came out of it, but it wasn't a good feeling, that's for sure, watching it.
No, and I'm somebody from that community, and it disturbs even me. I don't want all that for kids.
Yeah, like I'm totally okay with like fetish parties and bondage parties and stuff like that with like consenting adults.
Me too.
And as much as I know like firsthand that high schoolers and middle schoolers have sex with each other, I don't think it's something that should be encouraged or enabled or legalized. You know, I think it should be a forbidden thing that kids just like have to get away with. It shouldn't be something that us adults are like cheering on, you know?
If it's too forbidden, that has its own appeal as well, or commercialized, capitalized too. Because if there's money in some new bondage fashion trend, what's going to stop that? And
That's
queer
right.
theory is already trying to normalize all that stuff anyway. Like whatever the child's natural sexuality is perfect and good and needs to be liberated.
Yep. Or lubricated, you know?
So you have videos to take us even further into this horror.
Yeah, so I I saw, oh God, I didn't, oh man. Okay, now I'm a little embarrassed because I just saw this article today, but it turns out it's from the 22nd of October in 2016, not 2023. I thought it was just this year. Now I'm embarrassed. But yeah, maybe I won't start with that. There was a 7-year-old boy who was removed from mother's care by the high court after he was found to be suffering significant emotional harm. I will share my screen.
What's the high court? Is that Britain, Canada?
Yep, I think so. I think it was in the UK. Let's see. There we go. The judge in the case slammed social services who had simply accepted the boy should be treated as a girl. So this was like in 2016. This was a while ago.
Oh, the emotional harm was from the mother trying to trans him?
Yeah. And as soon as the kid got back with his dad, the dad reported, and, you know, maybe the dad was biased, but I guess I have an intuition to believe him. The dad reported that the kid had immediate mental his mental health was better. He was behaving better. He was interested in mainly male-oriented stuff, toys and behaviors and stuff like that. And the kid went back to normal and was living a better life. But the mom was fighting tooth and nail, saying, no, I was convinced that he was a girl and that he felt like a girl. And to me, it just makes me think of the leading the witness kind of parenting that you hear from time to time. Like when the mom like poses the question with the answer in it just to get the kid to say, yeah, I get, that's how it is.
What convinced her? Because some of this is like kind of Munchausen-y, where it's the parents that want the prestige of having a kid that thinks they're a girl. What
Yep,
what convinced the mom Because usually it's usually the kid themselves that like wears pink or plays with a doll, or some of them like really do feel like they're girls and they like full on feminine social transitioning at age 3. But what about this kid had the mom convinced, other than that she wanted to be convinced?
In his ruling, Justice Hayden said that the boy's mother, quote, told me that he was living in stealth, by which was meant, she explained, that he was living life entirely as a girl. He dressed at all times like a girl, and it transpired, had been registered at a new general practitioner's as a girl. I was also left in no doubt that the mother was absolutely convinced that the boy
Why?
perceived
What was
himself
the
as a
no
girl.
doubt? He registered himself, or the mom had to have registered him?
Yeah, it had to have been the mom registering him.
Was the mother believes herself to be fighting for her son's right to in expressing yourself as a girl? What expressing yourself in a feminine way is not really the same thing as expressing yourself as a girl. How do you tell the difference between just a feminine boy or somebody expressing their feminine side and expressing themselves as a girl, without resorting to gender stereotypes?
I think that's the biggest problem with the misconception or poor conceptualization that's been going on with this is we're talking so much about girl and boy and man and woman, but we're not talking that much about feminine and masculine, because men and women can be masculine and feminine, and it doesn't make them the opposite sex. You know, like if a young boy wants to dress in feminine clothes or like behave feminine ways, like, you know, have limp wrists or whatever you want to say is like typically feminine, that doesn't make him a woman, because then you're essentializing what it means to be a woman, and like only women do the limp wrist thing, you know.
Yeah, and there's also like psychological gender, like someone's psychologically female or male. Jordan Peterson's talked about being psychologically female. Oh, that was it?
Yeah, more or less. It kind of ends with the father saying, I have noted from reports that the boy has become interested in Power Rangers, SpongeBob, superheroes, and is constantly finding new interests. It is striking that most of the boy's interests are male-oriented. I am entirely
Power
satisfied.
Rangers and that little faggot. It's SpongeBob.
If he asks for that Pink Ranger costume for Halloween, I'm fucking done. He's not my son.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out what convinced the mother. There's something I saw something about he had disdain for his penis. Like no kid's gonna say, "Mom, I have disdain for my penis." So that's some kind of interpretation.
See, that's what I think is. I'm sharing it again if you want to get it back up, but that part where the woman had told him that the boy expressed disdain for his penis, adding, I consider that the mother has caused significant emotional harm to her son in her active determination that he should be a girl. I assume that what happened is like the woman unconsciously wants him to be transgender and is like, hey, how you doing, kid? How was your day? And then they get talking about stuff, and she's like, so what's going, I mean, like, how the fuck would you even bring that up as a conversation? Like, he would have to be naked, like, in the bathtub and be like, how do you feel about your penis? Is it getting in the way? Is it annoying you? And, you know, the kid's just gonna say, like, yeah, to pretty much everything the parent says.
I wish I wish there was a way to know. What is there a case? What do you call it? Like a ruling?
Yeah.
I'm just curious what these parents are going off of. If the kid themselves, or like sometimes the kid themselves that's wanting to wear lipstick and wear dresses and resist any kind of like masculinization. But absent that, I'm wondering what these parents are using to make this determination about the kids, if the kids are not being overt about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder what it is, but I doubt it's anything truly convincing. I really do think it's just like pro LGBT parents, which there's nothing wrong with that, wanting to avoid being the evil parent that oppresses their kid from expressing their true self. And they want to avoid doing that. So they ask their kid, like they're proactive about asking questions. And I don't know, I guess you have to spend time with kids and ask them questions, but you can ask them like random questions about shit and get them to contradict themselves all the time because they're just listening to you, especially like 3, 4, 5 years old. They're just like listening to whatever you're saying, be like, yeah. And it I don't know, it's hard to not get into like specifics and stuff like that, but like I have nephews, and when I talk to them, I can kind of get them to say like certain things if I wanted to.
I might try that on my nephews.
Yeah.
Do you think there's social status in having a gay or trans kid? Like when I was growing up, no parent wanted a gay kid. Like they wanted to be the one that didn't get the gay kid. Mm-hmm. And now it's like they want to be the one that does get the trans kid.
Yeah, I think there is. I don't think it would be too crazy to assume that it is. You are immediately given a spotlight by, you know, places like Vice or BuzzFeed or something like that to do like a hit piece on you. And that's kind of what my next few videos are about, is this one family where the dad, I think, is kind of being an influence. I mean, I'm on the fence. I do think that the child suffers from gender dysphoria, but I think the dad's being kind of an influence. But for you to
Joe,
ask,
do you remember the details of what convinced the mom he was a girl?
Are you talking to me?
Joe in the comments said he remembers this story. Other than that, he was into Power Rangers and SpongeBob. Isn't SpongeBob gay? Wasn't he gay?
Oh no, they were.
Or was that Teletubby?
I don't think it was
SpongeBob. Let me see.
I know that some people were.
Nickelodeon just announced SpongeBob SquarePants is gay. Confirms his LGBTQ status for Pride.
Who the fuck? What? What are you talking about?
Nickelodeon did. It's all these articles: Teen Vogue, CNN, People.
Oh. No, if Nickelodeon is saying that, that's different than Steven Hillenberg saying that. Steven Hillenberg, I would say, is the final say on that. But he's dead, so rest his soul. I'll arrest him. But SpongeBob being gay, I mean, he's literally like a cellulose sponge. He's not even a sea sponge.
I don't know. I've never seen a SpongeBob show in my life. I have no idea who he is or what he acts like or sounds like or anything.
No wonder you seem so unhappy. That's a SpongeBob reference.
I don't know. That might sound pretty gay.
So let's see. Should I share the next video, I suppose?
Sure.
All right.
Bring it up. Let's look at all these little queer children. What's going on with them?
Let's see what's going on. Okay. So this is, I'm going to show you a couple of reels that are just like quick little things. And I'm assuming you can hear them. Let me know if you can't.
Okay.
Dad, I'm trans.
Yeah. Why are there closed shirts back?
Popular. You're gonna be popular.
Is Dad trans? I can't.
Dad.
No, you'll learn this later. Dad's non-binary.
I can't tell if like the facial hair is authentic or hormone induced.
It could be. Because
why are their shirts backward, like they're print backward? That bothers me.
Because it's a mirror effect on the selfie of the phone.
Fix y'all's camera lens.
Yeah, should have taken 5 seconds and just edit it to reverse it, but yeah. So
Dad,
I think what's
trans.
really hilarious and telling about this is that the whole joke behind this reel is that if you say I'm trans, then the dad says you're going to be popular. Like, I don't understand what other message you're trying to say.
They will now, though. The only thing that's more popular is if he handed her a Palestinian flag.
It'd be much more relevant. I hope that they're keeping up on the times right now by
Yeah, this
updating
looks
and getting a
dated.
Palestine
This
flag.
looks like from 2 months ago. He looks happy. He definitely getting something out of this.
Oh, Dad's getting so much clout because of it. I've got another video for you from the same.
Oh, this is it. This is it.
Yep. So that's the end of it. And to me, it's kind of telling that we aren't living in that evil and oppressive of a place. If you can just make a video like this and say, hey, my kid is trans, you're going to be popular, and hand him a trans flag. It's like, okay, we're not exactly living in the fucking 1970s anymore.
No,
like, I don't really think the world's a dangerous place for trans people. Or the world, I should say.
They seem happy. I don't really have, I mean, he gets on my nerves. I don't really have a problem with it. Yep. I just hope the next step is not her breasts get cut off in a year. Like
that's what I would avoid too.
It's like they just play with the flag and dance around, and she's popular at school.
Yep.
That doesn't really like provoke me enough to go raise a lot of ruckus about it.
Sure, I totally agree.
It's where does it go from there?
I'll show you one more little reel, and then what is it? Truly, the YouTube channel Truly did a hit piece on this family. So we'll watch a little bit of that. I wish people had a 30-second trailer so I can see what I'm getting myself into. Trans edition.
Wait, that was a guy?
Yeah, it was
the thing he handed the flag to was a guy?
Yep, it's a young boy.
Okay, I missed that part. I thought it was a girl coming out as trans for the first time, and she was going to eventually transition to a boy. Like, no, saying, Dad, I'm trans, if she's already a boy, socially transitions as a girl kind of loses its meaning in the video. Of course, he knows you're trans by now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Okay. So this might be one. It's hard to tell if this is an authentic trans kid.
I think it is.
3 years old, knew he was a girl, or if this is a trend.
See, I'm on the fence about it, and I'll share the next video to kind of get into the deeper details of this family. We won't watch the whole thing because it's 8 minutes long, but you can get the gist of it in the first like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
Our daughter's transition isn't for fame. Okay.
Edie was born Bordeaux. She was born male. Now it's really strange looking at her as a boy. It doesn't seem right at all.
When did you learn what transgender was?
That's what I want to know.
She said that I was transgender, and I asked her what that means, and she said that means you're half boy and half girl.
I can't understand a word he's saying. What is he saying?
So they asked, when did you learn what transgender was? And I don't know. I don't even know.
Can you put the captions? Maybe the captions know.
Yeah. So the older sister told the younger brother, daughter, whatever, that she's trans. And so that's how the kid finds out what trans is. You were going to say something?
I'm trying to think through how the sister knew, unless he was already acting feminine. And
that's what I'm thinking. They do explain that. So
okay.
I think I'm mostly a girl. I'm a queen.
Because of my experience in life, I now am a non-binary person. I feel like, okay, I have an opportunity here now to try and do what I wish someone had done for me. Okay, ready? Everyone, guys.
See, I do think that the dad is a biological male.
He
is probably bisexual. And I guess being bisexual isn't hip and cool enough, so now he's non-binary.
I mean, non-binary it's subjective. It has no meaning to an outside observer. To any observer, that you can't distinguish it from any other man.
Hopefully Paul is not watching. I don't want to offend them.
I'll take the heat for offending Paul.
Yeah, I think that the non-binary thing is a waste of time. Like every time non-binary is brought up as a conversation starter or whatever, I think it's just a total waste of time because everyone is non-binary.
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I worked side by side with blue collar guys, agricultural mechanics for a summer. And these are on the outside, like some of the toughest, most masculine, grittiest, Midwestern guys living out in the country, like fucking welding and growing corn and all that shit. And there was one of them who was a vegetarian, like he took his diet very seriously. And there was another guy who was like a painter in his free time. He had like latex and acrylic paint. And, to be like a painter in the Midwest surrounded by a bunch of, light beer drinking dudes, who just got off the tractor, it isn't particularly masculine. I'm sure he got made fun of, but he doesn't care. And I don't know, of the 8 guys, the most masculine guy was the one that they all hated because he was an asshole. But anyway.
That sounds like stereotypes.
Yeah. And that's what I think the social construct of man and woman is often conceptualized as when these people who come out as non-binary say that, oh, I don't fit that stereotype, so I must be a whole new gender. It's like, no, no one fits the stereotype 100%.
So that's all it means, is they don't fit a stereotype? Well, they're wasting their time with me because I don't use stereotypes anyway. So it means nothing. When someone says they're non-binary, it means absolutely nothing to me. It's nothing I can see and make meaning from. Just observing them.
Yeah, I get irritated with the non-binary thing because it's delusion. It's no different than someone talking about how they're goth and how they truly feel being goth and how goth is a true expression of who they are. It's like, dude, I can see the clothes you're wearing. It's fine. Like, let's talk about something interesting, like your hobbies or something. I don't give a fuck about. Yeah, it's the non-binary thing is just crazy to me.
Maybe that's a good way to look at it. It's just another subculture, like goth.
Every day after school, you had the dinners together. It's complicated with the 4 kids because if you try to sit down, myself and Anna try and sit down and eat at the same time, it's just pure mayhem.
I'm Anna.
And I'm Jonathan.
We've been married for...
They have 1.7 million subscribers. I didn't see that.
How hard is it to feed 4 kids?
What's that?
How hard is it to feed 4 kids?
I don't know, man.
I understand his point about it's hard to feed, like getting kids to.
I mean, this is just my opinion. I think it's relatively hard for a working class family to feed 4 kids, but I see the house that they're living in and the money that they're making, probably with 1.7 million subscribers. It's hard to feed 4 kids, make food for them. It isn't. No, it isn't. I've made food for like a room full of people several times, and it's a little bit stressful, but I mean, every day you make food for the people that you love. It's not that difficult. It shouldn't be. I mean, I haven't experienced it firsthand, so maybe I shouldn't speak so confidently, but I think it's much harder if your living situation is difficult, like if you're in the work.
It seemed like he had a hard time getting them to the table or something. Not that he couldn't supply the food.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seemed very first world. Like I don't even know why it was in a TikTok video.
11 years, we have 4 children, 6 dogs. Our house is basically insane. We've got Amelia, who is 9. Edie is 8, Alessia is 5, and Andrea is almost 4.
They look fine to me.
So Edie was born Eduardo. She was born male. She has always been more attracted to stereotypical girl toys or girl. of things. Ever
And that's actually a good sign that a child has gender dysphoria. So this is what makes me think that this is like a legit gender dysphoria situation. If the child is like 2 years old and gravitating on their own toward like feminine or masculine toys, like the opposite of their gender, if they're gravitating toward that, that's a good sign that they have gender dysphoria. It's
Which
not
I
like
guess
the end all be all, but
yeah, this is like authentic trans kids. And I guess that's there's truth to stereotypes. If toddlers are gravitating toward things that are specifically coded as feminine, there's something drawing them in their mind to those toys over the dump trucks or whatever. So the stereotypes are not exactly just arbitrary.
do you think I don't think it's socially influenced. Do you think that it's closer to biology or do you think that it's socially influenced that kids play with certain toys? Like, could you trick a boy that always plays with like bulldozers and stuff like that? Could you trick him into playing with Barbies and actually enjoying it, do you think?
Growing up, there were very rarely adults around. I was the oldest. Well, I had some step siblings that were a little older that came later. But when we all played together, the girls, and this is very young age, the girls gravitated toward the dolls, the makeup, the Barbies, the clothes, that kind of stuff. The boys, we like to play with Legos, dinosaurs, games. We had the Hot Wheel. You can make the tracks and spin them all over the tracks, that kind of stuff. We played with the Barbies and stuff, but just to make fun, we'd like put clown makeup on them. And my sister was makeup heads, and we would like make it all up real weird looking. It was more of like a art project than playing with a doll. And then we had stuff like the slime, and the slime with the eyeballs and the worms that we all like to play together. Like the boys and the girls all love to sit around the table and play with that slime and Play-Doh and silly putty and stuff like that. So that's what I remember about our play patterns as a kid. And there were no adults around influencing that. It seemed just instinctive on the part of the kids.
Yep. Do you think it's like sexist or homophobic for me to
Okay, well, good. We're going to get you up on here to talk when this is over.
I mean, I wonder if I should share this photo. Probably not. There's a photo of me dressed up in my sister's.
Oh, well, we have to see it now.
costume.
Let me settle that doubt for you. We have to see it.
What was I gonna say? Oh, shit, Chris's comment threw me off. I thought it was funny.
Toys, gender, stereotypes.
Yeah, stereotypes and
socially influenced.
kids playing with certain toys.
I had feminine, like some people found, depending on who you ask, I'm either a very aggressive, unruly male, or I had feminine characteristics, and I was soft and sensitive and all that. So, but even with my, let's call them feminine characteristics or sensitivity, I was never drawn to feminine things. I never liked playing with dolls. I liked running outside and playing chase and climbing trees and that kind of stuff. So there's gender, like, deportment, I guess, or expression, but that doesn't necessarily mean your activities, your interests are going to be traditionally feminine or female interest. It was just a person, I guess, my personality trait or whatever.
Yeah.
And so people were constantly, especially it's like some of the kids at school were constantly mistaking me for sissy or that kind of stuff. But I never did anything. I did all the same stuff the boys did.
Yeah.
But because I had a personality that came across feminine to them, I got categorized in that. So it's not just activities or interests. Sometimes it's personality expression. And it's very subjective because not all people emphasized those traits about me. Some people emphasize the masculine traits because that's what caught their attention. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm non-binary. Don't even know it.
Maybe you're a soft top. Do you think it's homophobic at all for someone to say that like a child, a boy who plays with dolls is likely to be gay?
It would be interesting to see a study on that because a lot of my gay friends, especially the ones on the more like drag side that ends up doing drag or stuff like, did play with dolls growing up. There does seem to be that, but that's just from my very limited data set.
Okay.
I can tell you this toy story, gender story. One of my favorite things as a kid was y'all didn't have the modern world's not going to appreciate this story, but Gen Xers might. One of the most exciting times of the year is when the big JCPenney Christmas catalog, Sears Roebuck, Montgomery Ward's, you get big, thick ass catalogs this big in the mail. And one of our favorite things to do was go to the toy section and start making our Christmas list. And we would flip through those toy pages and we'd all get together and like share a list and write down what we wanted. And one of the products that looked so fun to me was the Easy Bake Oven. And even in the catalog, they had a boy and a girl both playing with it. And me and my stepbrother thought that would be such a fun toy to have. And so we both put it on our Christmas list. And like a few days later, my stepfather came in the house. He was throwing a fit over that Easy Bake Oven. Like, no son of mine is going to have an Easy Bake Oven. So for some reason in his mind, he associated with a female toy, even though none of the kids did. And the catalog had both genders playing with it. And he and my mom fought about it, and my mom saw no problem with it. So they ended up that year buying separate toys. Like my mom bought the toys for her kids, and my stepdad bought the toys for his kids because they could not find a solution over this Easy Bake Oven. And
she couldn't understand that
bicycles and fancy toys and all this stuff. And she got what she could afford for her kids, which was very modest. And Christmas Day, nobody cared or gave a shit. All of the kids were happy. We all played with our toys. We had fun. And he ended up just looking like an asshole, throwing a fit about this to begin with. Like his whole little plan backfired. And me and my stepbrother played with that Easy Bake Oven. We made cakes and cookies. The other kids played with it. It was so not a big deal. But so I don't know what makes some people gender toys and then freak out about seeing the opposite gender play with a toy that they think is made for this gender. But I've seen it happen in my own family. Like it's like split that entire Christmas apart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's homophobic thinking that there was probably some homophobia behind that. Like he didn't want his son to turn out to be a faggot.
Yeah, I
probably
bet
behind
you're
the
right.
panic, if I had to guess. Like, why would he freak out over a kid wanting an Easy Bake Oven?
Because a kitchen is a woman's place, Jeff.
Well, tell that to the JCPenney catalog people because they had a little kid in there, a little boy playing with it too.
Yeah, man. I maybe it's 70-30, maybe it's 80-20, I don't know. But for the most part, I'm the cook in our marriage, and I think my wife is happy with that. What's that?
Do you bake?
Some. I'm trying to get more and more into it, but I'm not super good with like I make a really good beer bread and I make a really good like chocolate chip cookie like recipe. But yep. I do like grilling and I do like stovetop cooking and that kind of a thing. I have this great big like cast iron griddle that I can just put on top of my stovetop, and then I feel like I'm like making breakfast in a diner or something like that. I don't think that we should be teaching like certain things are only for girls or certain things are only for boys.
I don't think we do anymore. Not at the rate that we may have like 30, 40 years ago.
Not nearly as much as they did in like the 80s and the 70s from what I've heard. But I don't think that we should say that if you are a girl who likes doing boy things, then you might be a boy stuck in a girl's body. because doing those things makes you that sex, like makes you that certain thing.
Yeah, I think that's jumping to a big conclusion.
Yep.
We had tomboys growing up, and they turned out to be. Some of them did turn out to be lesbians, but a lot of them turned out to be straight and married and had kids and became mothers. And
yeah,
the more feminine men almost all turned out to be gay, oddly enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I was usually friends with the tomboy girls because they were like much more fun and they were willing to have conversations with me and stuff. All the super girly girls are like stuck up and snotty and they're not any fun at all. But yeah, the tomboys would play sports and stuff like that. And it's interesting now I'm in my 30s. I'm Facebook friends with some of them and I look at them and most of them have turned into very feminine, like girly girl women. Some of them are still like, driving ATVs and shit like that. But yeah, for the most part, I think if you let a boy try out girly stuff for a while, according to like one book that I read, eventually they'll grow out of it. And the same thing can be said with girls is they get obsessed with like boy stuff when they're young. Eventually they grow out of it. Like gender dysphoria kind of dissipates when the person reaches their 20s, as far as I understand. And this is talking about children who start experiencing gender dysphoria between the ages of 2 and 4.
Because to me, those are the most authentically trans, when it's that deep-seated and shows up that early.
Like, for example, like going against what you said, I don't buy Philosophy Tube's gender dysphoria at all. I think it's total bullshit. I don't buy it at all. I think it's insane that someone could make it to their mid-20s through college and still identify as cis. And then suddenly when all this shit gets popular and Philosophy Tube's in like their late 20s, suddenly they're like, oh, you know what? I think I'm trans. I don't buy it at all. I think it's a hoax.
I don't have a problem with adults doing it, but I don't think it's the phenomena we're looking at when it's a 2-year-old kid.
That's the thing. Like if you're pushing the phenomena to be real and people must accept it, that's when I have a problem with it. I think if you are experiencing dysphoria or you would prefer to dress a certain way, you go ahead, you do it, knock yourself out. But I don't know.
I think if you're going to do it, you should do it. It shouldn't depend on who accepts you or not. If you're going to get a piercing or a tattoo, you should do it. It doesn't matter if people around you approve of it or not.
Yeah, don't wait for society to normalize it. Yep. You can't wait for everything.
Dysphoria is a specific mental illness. It's not one that just strikes, like depression or.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's been extensive research on it, so I can't really back up my claim that much, but I have a suspicion that this is just socially induced gender dysphoria that's going on with like gender madness, so to speak, because gender dysphoria existed for a while, and it was when I was in high school it was called body dysmorphia, but now it's called gender dysphoria. It's the same phenomenon, different descriptors. But I think that there is a huge difference between a 2 to 4-year-old not like experiencing gender dysphoria versus someone in their 20s or 30s suddenly discovering that they're non-binary. I think there's a big fucking difference. I don't think they're both the same mental like affectation. I don't think they're the same mental illness.
What I understand about authentic these kids type transgender is that it happens in the womb. It happens in the development of the fetus.
Yes.
Which is one reason why I think there might be a correlation, which they seem to be finding with autism and neurodivergence, because all of that is something that happens in the developmental process in the womb.
Yep, and it is something that happens in the womb, and they've also done a few tests, not much, but they have done a few tests. Is it MRI or CAT where you scan the brain activity? Is that an MRI?
Don't they both do? I think. Well, you're talking about the CAT scan. I think they can both take images.
Well, they found out that a trans person with gender dysphoria, certain parts of their brains match that of the opposite gender that's not usually present or as prominent as in their gender that they're born with, or whatever terminology you want to use. So their brain activity matches the other, which to me undermines the idea that gender is a social construct.
We do. Okay, don't we start out female? And like part of the theory is that something doesn't fully develop into the magic. That would at least explain the male to female.
Yep. And all other, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just reading some of these comments.
Well, I know that some people usually jump to the chromosome thing, and the chromosome thing is like virtually irrelevant because 98+%, I'm pretty sure, maybe it's like 99+% of people are either X, Y, or XX. And that's what we should have having a conversation about, because the 1% who are intersex or some sort of weird chromosome makeup, it's just a weird mix or absence of the chromosomes that make up man and woman. It's not some magical third thing. If you have vanilla ice cream and chocolate ice cream, and it's 50-50, it's vanilla like chocolate swirl. And if it's like 80% chocolate and 20% vanilla, that doesn't make like a whole brand new ice cream. It's just a little bit more chocolate and a little less vanilla.
Canuck is talking about autogynephilia. And
yeah, autogynephilia. That's like a sin to bring that up now.
They just had some drama at GenSpec. They just had their big GenSpec convention, and there was an autogynephilic guy there in a dress. And the rad film, just like in Elevator Gate with the atheist, just like Gamergate, the rad films got all up in arms about it and were offended, and how dare you have somebody like this. And now GenSpec is splitting because some of the groups are white knighting for the rad films, and some of them are coming down on the side of rationality. And
so where did this happen?
They had a big conference in Denver like a week ago. And his name's Phil Illey. He hang on, I can show the
Phil Illey.
Stella O'Malley just wrote a big article on the split. So the same thing's happening to the gender community. This guy, and I know her from Twitter. He showed up. He's trying to normalize autogynephilia as a fetish. Yeah, probably, John. I don't follow James, but probably everybody that went to GenSpec is talking about it. James was there. And there's at least 3 types of trans. There's the prenatal version that happens in the womb developmentally. There's the autogynephilia, which is a paraphilia or a sexual fetish, and which really shouldn't really manifest before puberty at all. And there's like, I don't know what you call it, but I call it political transsexualism. It's people that don't necessarily feel dysphoric as a kid. It's not autogynephilia, but they want to identify into the category of woman because it just resonates with them more psychologically and emotionally. So they might socially transition, kind of like straight people identifying into queer. Yeah. And a lot of those people will say that they're trans, but they're not trans in the same way that children are trans or autogynephiles are trans. They're more like they feel more comfortable with that identity as a female. That's more like the goth subculture analogy that you used. So those are the 3 buckets of trans that I can identify. And the autogynephilia is a kink. And that's like the bondage gear in public. Like I think there's a consensual element to that. If you want to be a transvestite and dress in females' clothes and whatever, I'm not going to try to stop you because I don't really know what's going on in your head. But
yeah,
if you're doing it because you're getting a sexual thrill out of it and being in public as a woman, like they had that video I showed on here a while back of that sissy baby. It's like a 60-year-old man in a diaper and a baby doll costume that went to the mall and he had to like suck on his bottle in front of people. His mistress had him do all these tasks, and then he goes in the parking lot and pulls his pants down and shows that he's wearing a diaper. That stuff's a sexual fetish, and he was in public to get his sexual kinks met because he was in communication with his mistress the whole time, carrying out these erotic tasks for her. That kind of stuff, I think there should be boundaries around, because there's a consensual element to participating in that on the part of the public. I feel the same way about that as I do kink at Pride.
Yep, and people should be made aware that there's a difference between being transgender and having an autogynephilic fetish.
But you won't really know unless, like, we know this Phil guy because he tells us, and he's trying to promote this as a legitimate, which it's legitimate. I just don't think it's legitimate in public. But
so is it
nobody's
something
gonna
like,
know because it's not obvious that it's paraphilic. But if you find out it's paraphilic and you have that information, then that's what the controversy around GenSpec was. Like, knowing he came there openly as an autogynephiliac.
He did? Huh.
That's a good point, because in Seattle they have the puppy boys. They're everywhere. They walk them down the street. They're at all the gay bars.
Yeah, I was looking for a photo of that like 4-year-old girl who's standing in front of
the
those.
puppy.
Yeah, like petting the 4
Oh, the
guys.
kids love
like,
them. They love the drag
it.
queens and they love the puppies.
Oh my gosh. And that's a lovely segue for the next video I was going to show you.
Is it queer puppy kids?
No, it's a child drag queen.
Than adult performers that sometimes we can outperform.
My name is Asa.
Can you do the captions again?
Sure, yeah. Let's see. Oh nope, there's no captions on here. Damn it.
I'll do it.
Rumble falling short as usual. So it's about a 6-year-old boy who dresses up in drag and dances and has danced at some drag drag shows.
They have that little Desmond kid that does the same thing.
Yeah, Desmond is amazing. What is he, like 14 now or
his
something?
mom's
He's been
like
doing
a
it for
pageant
years.
mom.
Like 5 or 6 years. I think in 2018 he came out as like a drag queen.
This is Asa. I am 6 years old, and
What kind of 6-year-old needs to wear that kind of makeup? Even female.
Lisa is a baby drag queen.
That's
He
burlesque.
performs at drag shows as Lulu Lovely Twirls.
Lulu Lovely Twirls.
He started doing this 4, 5, now 6 years old. He is by far the youngest performer we've seen.
There's even adult.
I refuse to believe that a 4-year-old child will out of nowhere grab a lightsaber and say, I'm a Jedi Knight. He has to be shown Star Wars and what a lightsaber is before he'll start doing that. How the fuck does a 4-year-old start dancing around like a drag queen and wearing other clothes? There had to be some sort of like education or influence into it or something. And I'm not trying to like point fingers at the parents or anything, but something fucking happened. I refuse to believe that this just came out of nowhere. Oh, who could have predicted this to happen?
I think kids do identify as female or not. I don't think they identify as burlesque performers at 4 years old. That bothers me more than anything about this video. That is something you would see in New Orleans at a burlesque show, an adult burlesque show. Or in Vegas at a showgirl show. So I don't know why that has to be the version of femininity they adopt. Like I wouldn't even want a normal heterosexual or like a normal female, like a biological female in that kind of makeup and clothing at 4 years old. So it's not even the trans thing that bothers me. It's the sexualization of somebody at that young of an age.
But shouldn't we normalize that, Jeff?
Well, the queer theorists would say yes. That you're liberating their natural sex. Like I didn't have a natural burlesque sexuality at 4 years old. I didn't even know what sex was. I was playing with toys.
Mm-hmm. It's weird, and it really does demand like individual inspection or investigation. Like you can't just like we can't really sit here and not know the entire story and like diagnose it completely. Like you have to get into their lives and you have to ask them questions about how this happened or something like that for us to get to like the bottom of it.
I'm pretty sure 4 years old. Burlesque is not a normal 4-year-old preoccupation.
Yep. It's like what there's like one frame in particular. It's
He started doing this 4, 5, now 6 years old.
Like I could understand dancing around. I could understand wearing dresses, maybe even a little bit of makeup for effect or accent. I cannot understand these costumes and this makeup.
Dude, like
these dances.
The way that he's like down on his knees like that and like doing that face.
He's sitting on the bed with his legs this wide apart.
Yeah, man, it's just so unsettling. And it makes me sound like so, oh my God, it's, yeah, I don't know.
I don't either. I'm curious, like if you or anybody watching, were you aware of sexuality at 4?
Without getting into too much detail, because I'm afraid of saying this kind of stuff on the internet. Yeah, at 4 years old, like at a young age, I was feeling some stuff.
Oh,
for sure.
None of that hit me until puberty. I was so sexually naive. Like I thought babies came from like when husband and wife got married, God gave them babies after marriage as like that's what marriage was for. And then God gives you a baby. I didn't know anything about the birds and the bees till puberty. I was like 11 at least. I didn't have any sexual feelings. I didn't know what sex was. Nobody talked about it. So I'm trying to figure out if people have this natural childhood sexuality that the queer theorists are talking about, or if that comes later. Like if that's a developmental stage that happens at 12 or 13.
Yeah. As far as I know, it's not normal for a kid like at that age to feel some stuff.
I never did.
I should say, and it's kind of heavy, but it's okay. I've walked through it. I've figured it out. I've talked to a few people about it, and it doesn't bother me nearly as much. But some stuff happened to me when I was a kid, like with a daycare provider. And so I think that might have been something that like started it going when I was like super young, like still in daycare. And I think that kind of thing will like trigger the brain or like get things moving that shouldn't be moving. And so part of me is always kind of suspicious when I hear stories like this, just like something had to have happened. I'm not saying that it's a direct result of someone being like, molested or something like that, but it just makes me think that this isn't normal for a child, and there had to be something happening in front of them, or they had to have been shown something in order for them to be dressing like the way you put it. Like being a burlesque dancer is not normal. Gender dysphoria is normal. That happens, but like he shouldn't be dressing up in this kind of clothes and with that makeup and dancing around. Like there had to have been someone that they knew or like a show that he saw,
That makes what the queer theorists are advocating even more disturbing to me.
Yeah,
because they seem to see it as a positive to trigger that kind of stuff as early as possible. And I don't know how you would do that without actually trying to trigger it physically. I don't know. My stomach just went cold.
Yeah, it makes me sick.
Not over you, but over thinking about the queer theorist.
Yeah, because like I don't want to assume that every single, because I think this is wrong. Like every single trans person out there is a secret chomo and they're trying to get at the kids. I don't think that's true. I definitely don't think that about gay people or drag queens. But I do think that the culture that we're cultivating right now is kind of like a shield that is like protects a safe space for chomos to hide in and be like, now I can have access to these kids because we've protected, like we've put a big shield around us. protect the kids and let their true inner selves come out. And now all you have to do is get alone with them for 15 minutes and you get to have your fun, and you fuck that kid up for the rest
And they can consent. Kids have the power of consent. They know their sexuality and they know who they want to express it with at 3 years old.
And that brings us to the very last thing I wanted to show you. This was from earlier this year in January.
And real quick, Chris, like, I don't think any of us are saying gender dysphoria is, there's something wrong with it. I don't think, like, the kind that happens in the womb and the kids come out and start identifying very early as the opposite gender. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Yep, I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. And I do think it's something biological, and I think it's something that people like Andrew Wilson definitely miss out on, even looking at it as an argument. They just think of it as a satanic delusion and nothing else.
What does Andrew say?
Disagree. Well, he thinks it's just a delusion. That's
all. Thinks gay is not innate either, and that if you expose your person to the wrong influences, they can become gay. That's just ignorant. So he's both ignorant, and I think he needs that to maintain coherence for his worldview.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not motivated to overcome the ignorance. Well, we saw this coming.
Yeah, this shouldn't be a shock to anyone. But you definitely need to keep your eyes open, because just like the trans movement or the gender madness or whatever it is that you want to call it, I specifically focus on the non-binary thing because I think that's more of a dog whistle than anything else. But just like the non-binary movement, I do think that this is going to gather steam. I don't know if it's going to be like 5-10 years or if it's going to be like 30 years, but you need to keep your eyes open, because more and more people are going to start espousing this kind of stuff, that age is a social construct, because there are people who suffer from, trans age dysphoria.
So
there's a Twitter and an Instagram account that I want to do like a deep dive on called Age Dysphoria, that talks about what trans age is and why trans age people wanted to be widely accepted into society.
You want to do it next time?
We could.
By the way, I'll be out of town for the next 2 sessions, and I probably won't know until the day of if I can even do it that week. So it's going to be very unpredictable, but I'll try to fit as many in as I can.
Okay. If it's difficult for you, we can wait until it's easier. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Trans age. Oh God. Trans age people have no intent of trivializing age regression. In fact, many trans age people are also age regressors. Age regression is a mental reversion to a younger age. Trans
is
age
that like
reflects
ABDL, the baby movement?
ABDL?
Adult baby diaper lovers, like that sissy guy that was in the mall that I was talking about.
Yes, that's age regression.
Oh
yes.
My God. Okay, as far as adult, that's a paraphilia.
Paraphilic infantilism is what Wikipedia describes it as. Take your bets on how long it's going to take to rewrite that. Right now, it's a fetish. In 10 years, it won't be. It'll be a valid identity. Mark my fucking words. Oh, November 13th, 2023.
Oh my God.
Do you enjoy these little talks that we have, or do I bring you down each time?
Both.
First, I show you all the white hatred that's in colleges, and now the age social constructivists are coming for you.
I'm trying to find that sissy video because I showed it on my channel once and I regretted it. I felt dirty. I have it bookmarked somewhere, but it might take me forever to find. Unless unless Twitter purged it.
As a Freudian slip.
Man, I'm coming up with just threads and threads of these sissy diaper people. Oh my God. I really regret trying to find this one now. I would share them, but I don't want to do that to y'all or my channel. Oh well, I can't find it right now. It's probably just as well.
Do you have any final closing thoughts on like anything you want to clarify, or what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I want to puke, but that also being part of the kink community, this is the very reaction from other people that we try to kind of fight and destigmatize, because I'm sure people would want to puke about some of the stuff I'm into. So part of it is like not kink shaming and being accepting of people's paraphilias, but I think there's a line when it comes to kids, and I think there's a line when it comes to the public. And so some of this stuff, you're not going to it's part of human biodiversity or whatever. I think it needs to be contained into spaces that people consent to participating in that experience. So I guess those are my thoughts. Like some of this I see from a kink angle and perspective. And my position has always been kink belongs in its own space.
Yep. I totally agree with that. I think that if religious fundamentalist people want to oppress gay people and keep them from loving the people they want to love, I'm okay with having, well, am I okay with parades? I don't know, because I'm not really okay with certain things. But I'm all about equality for gay people and stuff like that. And if we want to have parades, that's totally fine, because if you're born a certain way, or if puberty makes you a certain way, whatever, you're attracted to men, you're attracted to women, you should not have to hide that. However, I think you should have to hide the amount of dragon dicks that you have in your bedroom, and the clothes that you want to wear when you have sex with the people you have sex with. I think you should hide that. I don't think that should be out in public. If you want to have, like, I don't even know if they call them conventions, but like get-togethers with people at hotels or in houses, you go for it. But I don't think kink should be involved with parades at all. That's just me.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing too. And Canuck, yes, I did see that about the bestiality. They're kind of starting to seed the discourse and throw out, like, do some testing of, well, it's not so bad if you want to sleep with your dog. People love their pets. That was I don't even know if I should even talk about on this channel, but that was a real fetish in the gay kink community when I first entered into it in the late 90s.
What was that?
Early 2000s. It was called K9. You'd see it in profiles.
And it was bestiality?
Yes.
Maybe I shouldn't say that word.
Yes. And so the gays were doing this decades ago. And I was just as disgusted by it then as I am now, because again, consent. It's the element of consent. You don't know how the animal feels about it, or that's not normal that an animal would want to do that. So to pretend like, oh, they don't mind or they enjoy it or get something out of it, you never can convince me of that on the animal's part.
No, I think that's like the number one conversation, like debate stopper, is that the animal can't knowingly consent to it. Like, we don't know if the animal's consenting to it.
Right. And we never like, yes, that's yes. And then I'm in Washington State. We have Enumclaw up here, which y'all can Google that story.
What is it?
Enumclaw. It's a little town up here in Washington State.
Enumclaw.
Yeah, Enumclaw.
Enumclaw horse case. Oh dear Jesus!
Yeah, don't say anymore on the stream.
Okay.
Yes, you Google those terms and get the full story on bestiality gone very.
Oh, it's Mr. Yep. Okay, I know it. Yep. Mr. Hands. That's crazy.
I guess. Well, I feel like we need to end on something other than this. Let me see about anything in my Twitter feed. Do you have anything encouraging?
Bright and happy.
Yeah, or anything like a mental palate cleanse.
Well, it's probably not as bad as we think. It's probably not as prevalent as we think. This is happening, but it's not happening everywhere. It's important to keep your eyes and ears open, but also keep your mind open. Don't let this freak you out and make you afraid of the world. There's a lot of normal gay and trans people who are perfectly of sound mind who will stand against this kind of thing.
Or if we're not, we keep our shit in private. And I think that the more we normalize the weird stuff, the easier it gets. Like that, what is it, the Overton window? It gets harder and harder to make things taboo.
Yeah. And just like you said in the beginning, the more you make something taboo, the more intriguing it becomes. So you want to be careful about not making something too forbidden, or else people will be more attracted to it just because it's forbidden. Maybe next time I'll have a SpongeBob clip for you.
Oh yeah, so I can get culturally educated.
That's right, man.
Yeah, that's way beyond my generation. Okay, we can I'll put the link in now and we can have guests on. Chris, you can come on and give your story.
I'll be on until about the half-hour mark, and then I gotta hit the bed.
Okay. I'm trying to reset my brain. I'm a kinkster, but even I have my limits.
Yeah. So, like, what's the? Maybe you don't even want to talk about it. You want to keep detoxing, but like, what is it that got you so upset? Is it just that kids are involved, or was it something specific?
It's that kids are involved. It's the trans age thing has me thinking about the sissy diaper people, and the bestiality was like the little icing on the top of all of that.
Okay. Yeah, they had representation at a German pride parade this last year.
The sissy people or the animal people?
Animal people.
Oh Lord! Like, and not just puppy play, but real.
No, like there was a man that they tried to interview, but he hid from the camera, and he had his German Shepherd with him.
Okay.
That's so messed up.
Well, Chris, how are you doing? So much for the brain cleanse. Chris will take me down a few rabbit holes, and I'll be fine. So you were making some good points in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing too extreme. I mean, I agree with most of what you guys say. I don't know that I personally fully agree that the gender dysphoria thing necessarily starts before birth, like in the womb kind of thing. I don't know. It's like I kind of see that. I've seen it in many kids before. I've been around a lot of kids. I think that they are kind of gender fluid, more or less, until they get to like 5, 6, 7 or so like that. And then whenever their hormones start like stabilizing, and then they kind of tend to stabilize into like their the gender they're typically are. And they might have some issues with that until they get older, and then like it normals out. It evens out, and that's the reason why it desists. Usually, that's what I usually see. I'm not saying that that's what the science simply lines up with. I don't see it myself. I don't see a kid that just like is attracted to dolls and girls' clothes as necessarily being gender dysphoric. I just don't see that.
I don't think we were saying that either. But it can be a marker of gender dysphoria. Not every kid that plays with dolls is gender dysphoric.
It can be, but like that's a really iffy thing to try. It's a pretty iffy thing to put on, saying like, well, this kid might be gender dysphoric and might be trans because of that. I don't know. I really think that trans is something that's more. I think it's more societal than it is.
Well, the dysphoric version, which I'm calling, although dysphoria may not actually accompany the condition. I think even if the hormones are expressing themselves at 4 or 5 or whatever, that's all determined prenatally and developmentally in the womb. I think if a kid's going to be trans at 4, he's going to come out of the womb trans at 4, just like autism or ADHD or any of those other things. I don't think he comes out of the womb in this ambiguous state or like this ambivalent state, and then something tips him to be dysphoric at 4. I think that's all determined by the time he comes out.
Maybe. I mean, you might be right, but that's just not what I've seen myself. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying this is what it's my personal opinion. I just don't see it like that. But I mean, it's not like it's not like
kids are deciding at 4 years old that they're trans based on some external influence. I don't think that they would really truly be trans until the trans thing wouldn't come along until they were much later in life. I really don't. Just because, like, I mean, a kid could be very, like, thinking that they're a boy. A boy could be thinking that's a girl really strongly, through their younger years and stuff like that. I see that kind of thing as tending to desist. But I mean, I could be wrong about that. I could be totally wrong. I don't have that much experience with children. I have a lot more experience with children than, like, I mean, I have been around a lot of kids, including my own sisters, including like a lot. I grew up in churches with a lot of kids around, stuff like that, and I've seen. And I myself, I grew up. I mean, I played with dolls. I dressed up in dresses and stuff. We played on plays and stuff like that. Stuff like that. And it wasn't a big deal to me. It never occurred to me just because I was like dressing that way or doing that, so that meant that I was a girl. Unless somebody was but
like,
you're not trans.
I'm not. No, but
somebody that was born trans would have a different experience of all that.
But it's how do we really know? Have you ever talked to a 4-year-old? They don't speak to you the same way like an adult does. They don't have the articulation to say that. So asking a kid, do you think you're really a girl?
It's stuff like wearing dresses, being drawn to feminine activities and toys and interests. There's a whole set of markers that. And
I don't think that the clothes and the makeup is. I don't think those have anything to do with gender. I really don't. I think that those are associated with gender in our society.
It's the young kids themselves that are gendering it by identifying with it and then telling their parents that they feel like they're a girl.
I mean,
so it makes sense to me that somebody that feels like a girl inside would innately be drawn to the same stuff that girls are drawn to.
I mean, and maybe you're right.
I'm not saying every kid drawn to that
I'm not saying 100% right.
But if you are trans, it seems more likely you would be drawn to that. Like that's the path you're.
I mean, it does make sense like that, but I just been around a lot enough kids to know that like kids are so influenced by what their parents and by what adults tell them that like if any adult like sees like, oh, you like dresses, like you feel like a little girl, that would be all it would take for a little boy to be like, oh, I'm a little girl. It really would not take
that would not have worked on any of us.
I don't really is that simple.
I don't think kids are influenced outside of the parameters that are already biologically set for them in the womb. And Andrew would agree with you. That's why they could be influenced to be gay, which is not true.
No, I think gay is a different thing either. I mean, I don't think that either.
How is gay innate but not trans?
gay, because gay is something that's like, it's about about your attraction. It's about what you're attracted to. It's about like you're attracted on a sexual level, and your sexual impulses don't even come really, you don't become aware of those until something either activates them, like what Anton was saying, or until unless
why would your innate sense of self not be also?
I mean, I personally, I wasn't really aware of sexuality until I was more like 6 or 7.
No, we're not talking about sexuality. We're talking about your innate sense of who you are as a person.
I was talking about whether or not you're gay at this point. Sorry. I mean, in terms of like, I
like why I don't understand why trans would be different from gay. It seems both of them seem innate, and both of them show up very early in kids.
I just never seen it at all, and I've been around a ton of kids.
So you think gay kids are born gay, but no kid is born trans, and something the environment is making them trans. So, but that doesn't explain the random distribution of trans kids.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know that. I don't know that it's necessarily the fact that kids are necessarily born gay, but I don't think there's a bad thing that they aren't. I don't think there's anything wrong with a kid becoming gay. I don't think there's anything wrong with a kid becoming trans either. Like, I think just because something's not normal, I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that it's wrong.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just trying to stick to the facts and the side. My experience is that it's genetic. It's innate. It happens in the womb, and you come out gay. You come out autistic, you come out neurodivergent, you come out trans. All of those things are fixed biologically by the time you're baked, and you come out of the oven that way. I'm trying to think of what influence, if you don't, like, you can't make a person autistic, you can't make a person ADHD.
Did you see that?
I'm trying to think what could make a person gay if they're not already gay or predisposed to be that way, or what would make a person think they're another gender if they don't already come out that way, other than the paraphilias, which would happen later after puberty.
Did you see that it was in the Discord, but before the Discord got nuked? Did you see that I can't remember who posted it, but about the study they did about autism and how it was possibly related to funguses?
It's not funguses; it's developmental.
Okay, so is it developmental or is it in the womb?
It happened. When I say developmental, I mean development of the fetus in the womb. It happens as the fetus goes from egg, zygote, whatever, to a baby. It happens as the brain's developing and the nervous system is developing.
And what elements could influence those?
I don't know. I talked during COVID. I spent a lot of time talking to this autistic. I mean, she wasn't autistic. She was researching autism, and she explained a lot of the science behind it too. Man, it all made sense.
My thing is I see when I see something like being gay, I don't see being gay as a negative thing. I see someone can be gay.
I don't either. That's not even on the I don't even think that element of the debate is even on the table.
Just let me explain. I'm not really trying to argue what you're saying. I think when I see trans, but being trans is something that is innately seems to cause a lot of people distress and pain for a lot of people. And it doesn't seem like it's an innately good thing for someone to be trans, because because in most cases for them to truly become okay with that, it requires surgery and everything that is. So I see trans as something that's maybe a little bit that's something that we should try to avoid somewhat, because it does create, until we get to the place in technology where we can easily sexually transition somebody from one sex to another. I think that it's probably for the best if people weren't trans, because it causes a lot of very negative side effects.
How do you avoid it if they are? Like, if they are trans, thinking that they shouldn't be is not really dealing with the.
I'm saying, but still, if we see it as something, if we completely normalize it as something that's just as normal, I think we should be trying to find ways to.
But people, you say the same thing about gay and neurodivergence.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, maybe it would be better if people weren't ADHD or this or that, but I don't think those are negative things. I think those are just part of a spectrum of things that.
I think if a kid is born and knows at 4 years old that he's not the identity that the social identity, like if he knows he's wearing dress, I don't think he should do burlesque. But I think if he knows what he is at 4 years old, then that's probably innate.
And yet,
whether
like
you personally
80%
don't
of the
think he
cases,
should be
whenever
that
they
way,
get-
you have to deal with the reality that he is that way.
and with like 80% of those cases, though, when they get past puberty, they desist.
I don't know if that's true for the younger kids, like the really young ones.
I mean, the studies I've seen, that's what they've shown. But at the same time, like, and I've also like the scenes where the stuff, the studies I saw that show the brain scan thing. I don't know. I haven't seen any replications of those. That was like a single study that I saw like that. If you have more info on that, I'd love to see it. Nonetheless, I mean, I'm not against trans people. I'm not against. But at the same time, I do want to like try to minimize suffering on any kind of level. I don't think that when someone being gay, it's not really. It shouldn't be something at this age of society. It shouldn't cause suffering. So I don't think that's anything to be concerned about. But trans does cause suffering to people to a great degree. It creates a great deal of mental stress.
Not all trans people suffer.
I mean, most of them do, which is why they want to have surgery.
A lot of trans people will tell you that they don't experience dysphoria, and some of them are even pushing to get it removed from the DSM-4 because not all trans people experience dysphoria.
And you think that's legitimate you think it's legitimate genders, legitimate transness, and not just
if somebody tells me they're trans but they don't experience dysphoria, I have to take their word for it. Like,
yeah, sure.
I
mean, I would
too. Or they really don't experience. It's not inconceivable to me that some people may not be accompanied with negative emotions. They may just say, "Oh, this is not the gender I want to be," but not necessarily experience.
And that's fine. I think, and as an adult, if someone just wants to decide, if like as an adult, if you or Anton or me or whoever just was like, you know what, I want to be a girl now, and that's just like the decision that we make. That's fine. I have no problem with that as an adult. I
don't consider that the kind of trans I'm talking about with kids, because I think that would show up a lot earlier. And just being in the gay world, like go back 30 years or so, just being in the gay world, there were gay men that were so feminine, they might as well have been women. And all of that, they were like that from birth or from childhood.
But do you think they would have rather been women, or do you think they liked
probably if they had the choice back then, they probably would have ended up. Those are the ones that probably would have ended up trans and not gay.
Because I do a lot of gay men like that too, and like they were happy being gay men. They were feminine as hell, but they were more feminine than like a lot of the women I knew. But they still were happy being gay men.
That's why I think there's multiple axes we're looking at.
Right.
One is expression or feeling. Like you can be a feminine man and feel happy being a man, or you can be a feminine man because you feel like you want to be a woman. And just like, and you can both present the same way to an outside observer.
Maybe
and
so.
Like I said, I had feminine traits growing up, or some people found that I had feminine traits growing up. Others didn't.
So did I.
But I never once identified with anything female. I never wanted to be a female. I never wanted to wear dresses or anything.
I had a ton of feminine traits growing up. Yeah, I had a ton of feminine traits growing up. I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I so much so that like as I was a teenager, people used to call me. People used to like jokingly, guys in college, they're fag and everything. People said it to me so much that I questioned my sexuality until I realized the ways I wasn't attracted to dudes. It really wasn't. It really was like I didn't want to have sex with guys. That was really the thing that actually made me realize that I was straight. But I mean, like I questioned it just because of like how much I got. People called me fag, or people called me like sissy or girly in this way or that, because like I like musicals, and I was really and I wasn't super like I didn't chase girls around. I was trying to get laid all the time, So like those were like things that. Those weren't things that appealed to me whenever I was younger. So yeah, I understand what it means to like have feminine traits. Plus, I was raised largely by my mom. I had sisters. My dad wasn't around as much, so like I had a lot of feminine traits. I don't think that it ultimately resulted in me being a particularly feminine man overall. But I still have a lot of feminine. I'm in touch with my feminine side, as they say. But I don't know. I think that gender dysphoria is I really do think that gender dysphoria is the only real especially for when it comes to like medical treatment. I think that's the only real yardstick we can use to measure whether or not someone really is trans in that way. If they don't have gender dysphoria and they just want to like just live at their gender, I guess that's fine. If they're an adult, they want to do that kind of thing to them. I think it should be probably not recommended to them. I think it's probably a bad idea to get that surgery and everything like that. I think that's probably not the right thing to do for them. But at the same time, hey, you know, I'm not going to try to live their life for them. I'm not going to tell them what to do with their life. It only comes when it comes to children with me. I'm like, I don't see that there's any real advantage in trying to like analyze and look at kids at ages of 4 and 5 and 6 and be like, yeah, this kid's trans. I just don't see advantage in it. I see that it makes a lot more sense. Like maybe once they get to their late teen years, sure. But
I'm the complete opposite. I think it's more credible if they express it at 3 or 4 than if they've never showed any signs of it, and all of a sudden as a teenager they go on TikTok, watch a few videos, and all of a sudden I'm trans. That seems more likely to be social influence than a 3-year-old. A 3-year-old seems more authentically trans to me, and that's the one I would take more seriously if they wanted to medicalize in some way, and a doctor said, well, this will help, this will help, this will help, than a teenager that just suddenly becomes trans. And
that scares me, because like I think that if that kind of mentality existed whenever I was a kid, I think there would have been doctors trying to say that I was trans. I think there would have been
this is coming from the kids. Hey, Flo, at 3 you thought you were a T-Rex, and me too. Yeah, I was much more into dinosaurs than any gender toys. It's coming from the kid saying, like, that's why the first video we watched were the parents determining that the child's a girl. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking when the kid himself insists or knows somehow at 3 or 4 that they belong in a dress, they belong in makeup, they belong playing with the girls, they belong playing with dolls, whatever. That the kid himself is initiating this identification.
I was mostly friends with girls. I played more with girls than I did with boys.
I'm not talking about you.
I know, but I'm saying, but those are the things that
but
you're saying.
You didn't go to your parents and say, Mom, I'm a girl. I belong with I'm talking about kids that do.
Only reason a kid would do that and say that to go is if someone said that to
the
them.
other reason, if they were innately trans, if they were born trans. If they had it, like you said, the brain scans had the female brain was identical to, I mean, the male trans brain.
I've seen that
came
one
out of the
study,
body
and
their brain, and you did a brain scan, and it was more female. None of that is out of the realm of possibility to me, because I know, I know how to see a lot more data.
I was going to see a lot more data.
It's probably out there. I'm not a trans expert by any means. I'm going off of my own intuition and my experience as a gay person and what I have observed from really young kids that seem at a very early age to know that they're not the gender that everybody thinks they are. Whatever gender.
And I'm going by my experience with tons and tons of kids growing up and stuff like that. So I mean, that's what I'm going by. So maybe it's like, you know, a kid can't possibly make that decision. That was my point.
It also seems like you have some moral axioms about whether kids should or should not be trans, and we should or not support.
No, I don't. I don't have any moral.
It's not like gay, which is born that way, that you don't see the advantage in creating a culture that would support a kid being trans at an early age.
It's not a moral thing. It's much more focused on like a practicality.
Well, when you say ought and not is, I take that as moral. Like when you say what something should be rather than what it is, I take that there's some kind of moral element behind it.
I'm not saying what ought should be. You're saying
you were earlier, because
you're saying that this is. I'm saying that I don't think that it is. I'm saying that I do not think that it is.
Well, we can rewind the stream if you want, but I'm pretty sure I had like a 5 or 10 minute conversation with you about me trying to refocus.
I don't think that is. I don't think that it is the case. That's my point. But I mean, I don't want to get like a drop down argument about this. I just think that it's like
there's some shifting around that.
What's that? It's mostly because if anything, I'm more emotional because I have kids. You know,
the scientific side of it wouldn't be a moral one. It would just be descriptive of this is what happens in the womb. This is the result. This is what the kids experience.
I would need to see a lot more scientific data that actually shows that so there's actually some evidence of that, because the scientific data I've seen so far has been really flimsy, if anything at all.
Well, you could say the same thing about gay people, like wanting to see scientific evidence that people are born gay. And I just take it for granted that that's the case.
I mean, I don't. To me, like, it doesn't even like. I don't think it matters whether they're if a guy is born gay or if they just.
It doesn't matter if they're born trans.
I think it does, because it requires a lot more. There's a lot more. Just being gay is just who you're attracted to. Being born trans is a whole other thing. That's an entire life. That's an entire change of your life. That's trying to change the way that you have to live your life. It could involve surgery.
Yeah, but if that's what the kid is willing to do or is motivated to do, why does it matter?
Once they become an adult, sure. But as a child, no. I don't think there's any room for it.
Are you just talking about surgery, or are you talking about presenting as the opposite?
Presenting is, I guess, one thing, but like, I mean, presenting is like, I think kids can present with whatever they want. They can do, like, kids can present as pirates if they want to.
I don't mind social transition, but there's no reason for a 4-year-old to walk around dressed like a whore.
What's the difference?
I think one just over sexualizes. I think you can socially transition without.
But is it all sexualization to some degree?
I don't think so. Is little girls is Juniper just wearing a dress sexualizing her?
No, but I mean, at the same time, but once you're putting it into that kind of thing, yeah, I agree. The burlesque thing is way out of line, but like, I mean, we put like unisex type stuff on Juniper all the time. I don't care. Like, onesies are pretty much unisex. They don't have it. It doesn't matter to me. I don't think gender it really comes into that much play, like, really, until I think it like
for a trans person it does. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of the 4-year-old trans kid, not from me or you or people that are not trans. And would it matter why they are that way? If at 4 years old, if Juniper comes here at 4 years old and is pretty convinced she's not a female, why would it matter? Whether it was nature or nurture.
Why would it matter if it was nature or nurture? If
your argument against gay, you're like, why does it matter if gay people are born gay or not? We should just accept gay people and support them or whatever. And I was saying the same thing for young trans kids. The ones I'm skeptical of. Oh, FlowState, it's telling me you have an echo. You have a bug, first of all, and the bug is causing an echo. FlowState. Oh, I see. He's trying to get on stage. Do you have an echo? You're the first guest that ever got a warning that you have a bug.
Mic check.
Sounds okay to me.
Yeah, it sounds fine to me. I don't know.
You have trans thoughts?
I do have trans thoughts, and they're all moral, because I think the whole argument is moral. But now that I've been thinking around my internet, I'm kind of cold on this. When I clicked the link, I was like right in it with you, and then I lost the momentum. So carry on.
Okay, well, maybe it'll come back. Chris and I are pretty hot on this topic, apparently.
I guess. I mean, like, we generally have always agreed to this kind of thing, but like, I just want
to get your stance straight before it goes any further. Like, are you saying that you don't believe in trans at all, or you don't believe in trans children, or like, what is it? What is your ultimate, like, I don't believe in this?
I don't think that the concept of trans matters whenever you're a child. I think gender is pretty fluid until you get to a certain age anyway, and I just don't think that trans is something that we need to be worrying about, or we need to be engaging with children on at the age of 4, 5, 6, 7, like something like that. Not until they get older than that. I think that if they get to the age where they're starting to actually have ideas and actually getting more concrete ideas about reality, a 4-year-old barely understands anything about the world around them. I do not think that like a 4-year-old's opinion on whether or not they're a boy or a girl really matters that much.
Okay, but
And
you could also say that a 4-year-old can easily learn how to manipulate a 30-year-old man or woman into doing whatever they want them to do. Like, I understand and agree with the idea that 2, 3, 4-year-olds don't know much about the world, but they're not completely like they're not complete
manipulation.
idiots. What?
Instinctually learning manipulation is much different than making an I am statement about I am this or I am that. Because
But what if it's a consistent I am statement that is itself instinctual? At what age should you take a child seriously about what they think they are?
I mean, it's gonna change. It's gonna be different depending on the child. I mean, it's gonna be a case by case basis, certainly. But for most children, I mean, I would say like as just a baseline type thing. I would say not until like 7 or 8, something where like that. So 7 or 8 is like whenever like they start getting like more creative ideas, they start having ideas like that. And if like at 7 or 8, like a kid is like saying like then that's something to like start looking into with therapy and stuff like that. I don't think that hormone blockers or anything else like need to be involved until like they get to a much older state than that.
Yeah, I don't think either of us are saying that you should.
No, I didn't think you guys were. I'm just saying. I'm just like laying out like what I think in general. I'm just saying like I think that like I think that until 7 or 8, I just don't think I don't think that it really matters that much. I mean, like I can't even imagine. I can't even like I look at my daughter. I look at my sisters. I look at other kids I've known, and I can't even remember them ever like making any statements beyond just like the general like well, I'm a girl or I'm a boy kind of thing, just because they were playing a game or something like that. Like, oh, I don't do that because I'm a girl.
Like you're basing it on non-trans people. You need to base it off.
I mean,
there's no way to tell who's actually trans and who's not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's no tell. How can you tell who's a trans child and who's not beyond like those statements?
I guess the consistency in their insistence.
That and like if you take the social influence out of it, and if you have a parent who is like completely against the trans stuff, and yet that feeling doesn't go away in that child, that to me is a good indicator. If the child is surrounded by queer people espousing queer ideology, then I guess it's a little less surprising that they have gender dysphoria. But if a kid is growing up in like the Bible Belt, surrounded by people who hate that kind of shit, but they have that feeling still, I mean, what would you call that?
I would call that a delusion. Who knows where it came from? I'll be that one. I don't believe that transgender is a thing at all. I think it's a mental illness that's been politically promoted.
Okay, it's a mental illness, but it's still a mental illness. Schizophrenia is a mental illness. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Touche. Yeah. Okay. The voices aren't real, though.
Yep, the voices aren't real. That's for sure. You're not really a woman because you have a penis. Right. That's for sure. But we know from those brain scans that the brain is acting as a woman or as female or whatever.
We also know that behavior patterns that you repeat tend to rewire your brain in the way that you're using it.
And how does that relate to the trans thing?
If you're acting like a girl, and if you think that you're a girl, and if you're getting told that you're a girl, your brain's going to start to form more feminine ways over time.
Really?
Really?
I didn't know there were like studies done on that.
Well, I don't know what to tell you about it. I don't have any offhand. I just walked in the door.
You think it's possible to reform trans kids into aligning with their biological gender?
I haven't gone down. I don't really know anything about that or about what that process would be like. I do know that people detransition a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And I know that we make kids wait till they're 18 to get a tattoo.
Yep.
Oh, so, yeah. I'm for age. I'm more looking at it as a phenomenon, and it seems to be a real thing, regardless of what it is or why it is. It seems consistent enough within the individual and persistent enough across society to take seriously as a thing.
So regarding your claim that you can tell someone something and their brain rewires itself, like if I told you every day that you're a woman, no matter how much you fought it, your brain would start rewiring itself?
if I was told I was a woman, if I acted like a woman, it's like if I play with this butterfly knife a lot, eventually I'm not going to have to think about it. The muscle memory is going to be there. It's the same sort of phenomenon.
Okay, so if you play with the butterfly knife over and over again, does that make you more a man or more a woman?
Has nothing to do with either of them. It's a non-gendered activity.
So what certain things do have to do with being a woman or being a man? Like cooking, if you cook more often, does that make you more of a woman or more of a man?
Well, I would say that if you walk around and dress as identifying as a woman, being told you're a little girl instead of a little boy, I mean, you can fill in the gaps, right? I haven't seen this applied to this dynamic. I haven't seen it defined out. But we can assume that if the phenomenon holds true in one area, it holds true in others.
So,
don't you think?
So why do men in Scotland who wear kilts not become more feminine? It's basically a dress.
I can't tell you. I don't have all the answers. I don't think you're confused or these are actual real questions either. I think that you just don't like my opinion. So you're asking all those. So what about
No, I think you're on the defense.
I don't have an opinion about your opinion because I'm still trying to understand it. What would prompt a young kid to start acting like a woman?
Anything could do it. Like I said, before I came up here, I said that I thought I was a T-Rex, right? Kids are impressionable. They have no concept really of sex, especially at that age.
Or sex or gender.
So I think you and I agree that if you have like a queer ideology espousing parent, that kid's going to be more focused on that stuff because that's what the parent is talking about. You and I would agree on that, right?
Sure.
Okay.
But we can't really know all the influences, right? Between media, friends, school, activities. Like to think that that a therapist is going to have an accurate assessment of and take into account all the various influences in a kid's life.
Sure.
It could be something as obscure as like playing a fucking like a game, right? That just carried, who knows? I don't know, but there's a lot of different ways that a kid could be walking around saying, I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
But clearly that kid, I mean, at 3 or 4, you barely have an individuated identity at all.
Okay.
I think it's not till 5 or 6, if I remember correctly, in child development that you're like fully individuated from your parents. I could be wrong on that, but
yep.
That's been my understanding. That's my experience too with children too. Like until they get to like 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8, like they tend to be like they don't really have that kind of individuation. Like it's just like I just don't think that those kind of judgments really matter at those ages. I just don't.
I'm using 3 or 4 kind of arbitrarily because that's what some of the kids in those videos see. But I think the last guy was 6 or something, so we could just say prepubescent kids.
Sure.
I'm not picky about the actual age that it starts to manifest. I do know in some kids it does manifest at 3, 4, or the parents seem to think it does.
I think that would be a reflection.
I don't know a single trans kid. I'm not around. I don't know what they look like. I don't have any to study firsthand. I barely know any trans people.
I don't think it's necessarily a reflection of the parents because there's plenty of people who grow up in all Christian communities surrounded by Christian friends. They don't have a single atheist friend, and yet they don't buy into the Christian thing, and they end up like escaping that community because they just feel completely ostracized by it. I don't think that everything necessarily comes from social influence.
Right. I think that to your example, I think that kids who rebel hard against their parents as well, I think that still is a reflection of the parents. But at least they're doing that later in life when they can make their own decisions. At 3 or 4, you're not your own person at all.
Yeah. And I don't think that puberty blockers should be used at all. I don't think hormones should be used at all.
I don't know what being your own person means, but I had a pretty strong sense of myself as a distinct person separate from people around me.
The individuated psychology thing that I was speaking about earlier.
But one thing I want, like you said that 3, 4, 6, whatever age, that the influences could be coming from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Could that also include biology or physiology? Could some of those influences be coming from the brain? Because if so, it's not completely a moral issue unless you're going to try to moralize biology.
If you're a boy, but you have feminine behaviors, you're not a girl. You're just a feminine boy.
Yep.
So at some point, the claim is that you shift over to where you're so feminine that you're now a girl and you shouldn't have that penis. And it just doesn't. It just doesn't hold logical water.
Internally in their own consciousness, it's not another person deciding that your behavior crossed the threshold. Therefore, you are this gender.
I mean, we could argue that. I understand that that's the claim, and I also understand that people are dynamic, social, and there's your own thoughts don't come solely from your inner world. There's a whole lot of influences on everybody's worldview.
Sure. But the ones that do, how do you moralize that? Because you said it's a moral issue on all sides, and I guess I'm trying. Yeah. I disagree that it's completely a moral issue on all sides. So I'm trying to.
It wouldn't matter if there was no moral component to it, right? You could be like, "Oh, that's an interesting phenomenon. This boy has a girly brain," but then what to do with it is purely a moral issue. Whether it's transition them because you think it's in their best interest, or not transition them because you think it's not in their best interest.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I really do hope that I'm able to get Blair White to come on the show here. I would love to hear her thoughts on this. Like I've dropped a line to her, and I think that it'd be amazing to have her come on here, because I know she's someone who actually says that she started identifying as a girl at a very young age, at like 5 or 6. So I definitely like to hear her thoughts on this.
So can I ask? I jumped, started listening right before I came up here. What, Jeff? You said you're gay.
Yeah.
Full gay, not bi.
Full gay.
And what's the inquisition?
My sexuality, or
no?
That was like a working title for the podcast. I wanted to call it the Inquisition.
Are you queer then?
No.
No. Okay.
We're both like we're both anti Q plus.
Okay.
We're looking at dissecting and analyzing queer ideology and how it fucks with people.
I probably misinterpreted your questioning earlier then.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, you did seem kind of on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good. Because I mean, I'm somewhere on the fence with a lot of stuff, because I am like pro LGB, but I completely understand. Like, that's
TQ
totally
is just.
Me too. I'm LGBT without the T. I don't have a problem with trans people themselves. It's the ideology behind it, the queer ideology. It's
Look, if an adult wants to live in a fantasy, then I guess I don't really have an issue with that.
Yeah.
I do think it's definitely self-destructive at some degree, right? But like, people have the right to do what they want, even if I don't agree with it.
You would just say the same thing about gay. Like, I think some trans people can thrive and be perfectly happy if they get the right support and whatever.
I think that they don't like themselves, and I think that most trans people will find out that they still don't like themselves afterwards. That's my theory. I don't have anything strong to support it.
That's possible too. That's why we need Blair more than anything. We can get that cat that Paul argued with.
No, thank you. No.
Because I think Blair White and Buck Angel and people like that show a sign of mental stability that they can say, I'm
sending an email to Buck Angel again.
Benjamin Boyd, I could get some from Benjamin. He's interviewed a ton of trans and detrans.
Because as long as you can admit, I mean, I'm presenting as a woman, but I was born biologically male. I'll always be male. There's nothing that can change.
That's how the trans people used to be. In my generation, none of them had this misgender, dead naming, don't pretend like I was ever a man thing.
Because straight, gay, and bi is very straightforward. Yep. The whole everything else, the quagmire, that just confuses everything.
It confuses me.
Yeah, exactly.
Really fucking weird.
I mean, I still don't think that gender and sex are separate things.
No, really. I don't either. I thought that gender was an interchangeable term for sex, and I really didn't think it was anything different.
So if
I mean,
gender
I can see the argument about gender and sex being different things, but I agree. I don't think they are really. But I see the argument. I just think it's wrong.
Whenever I ask
What is a
people
really
to
feminine
describe
man?
their gender, they never use anything to describe gender that wouldn't simultaneously describe personality.
Yeah, exactly. The new definition of gender is basically it's nothing. It conveys no information. I don't care if you feel like a light bulb today or like a box of Kleenexes.
It conveys no useful information.
Right.
It's subjective. That's like when people tell me they're non-binary. I have no idea what they're talking about. In their head.
You are.
It doesn't convey any information to me that I can do anything with.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you. I'm drafting emails right now to Buck Angel, to Ariella Scarella. Scariella. She's a lesbian that talks about this kind of thing. And I'm drafting an email also to. There's another guy that does he's a trans man.
Shapeshifter.
What's that?
Shapeshifter. Find her too. It was a detrans person.
Okay.
You should go on Benjamin Boyce's channel and just go through his videos. You're going to find like 100 of them that we could contact. And Liberty Holmes too claimed to be trans. Shapeshifter.
Yeah, no, I'd love to have him back on. We didn't really get any contact information from that. I don't know how to get a hold of him.
On Twitter.
I also think it's worth pointing out that people like to go to scientific studies for things, and just funding sources for scientific studies are unlikely to come to the conclusion or to come to an anti-trans conclusion in this social environment that we're in.
Yeah, I don't put a lot of stock in studies either. That's why I don't.
Studies are basically it's a branch of marketing, in my opinion, anymore.
Especially when it comes to the soft sciences.
Or even the hard ones. They just skew the data. Oh, these people died. Throw them out. They're not participants in the study.
Right. Yeah. There is a lot of that.
Yeah, I would rather talk to a real-life trans person.
Well, the ones that I've talked to are all way more reasonable than any non-trans, pro-trans activist.
Because mainly the unreasonable ones are not going to talk to me. But most trans people I know are more of the reasonable type. I think social media skews the activist side to be more than it is.
And they've dealt with this their whole life, right? Like they've been through bigger shit than you not understanding what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
So
have you guys heard of the YouTuber The Offensive Tranny?
No.
He's pretty good. It's a trans man. I can't remember his actual name, but he and his big thing on his thing is mental health first. It's he's a big mental health person. So
wait, it's a male? It's a female to male?
Female to male, yeah.
Oh wow,
he's really good too. Yeah,
I would never have
20,000 subscribers. Jesus.
The my first podcast, the podcast I had before this, I did it with a trans man. I started with a trans man. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it's Marcus Dibb is his name. Marcus Dibb is his name. I'll put his link here. But he's totally worth checking out. He's another person I'm going to be reaching out to for the purpose of this particular podcast. I really want to hear. I want to hear some of these voices on these subjects because I think that they've got a lot to say about this stuff. And he's been on Blair White's show. He's been on a lot of their stuff like that. He's really
see. This is. I'm looking at Flow's link. This is what's disturbing. This is to me ideological indoctrination.
Yeah, that
nothing that would be gay, trans, or anything. This is political indoctrination.
100%.
Oh yeah, this is just disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting.
And it doesn't just stop at the gender or sexual orientation stuff. Like there's a video that's talking about abortions. Like a whole video about abortion.
Oh my God.
It's just stuff that kids don't need to be involved in. Like this is.
I agree.
I know the word's gotten played out, but this is fucking grooming.
It's ideological grooming for sure. Just like they don't want Christians in schools grooming them into religious ideology, this is the same thing.
Yep. Oh, that's so weird. All right, before we get any further into it, I better get to bed. But it's good talking to you guys.
Good talking to you too.
Hope we all have a good night.
Yeah.
Good talking to you, FlowState. Maybe talk in the future.
For sure. And my bad for coming in hot.
No, it's all good.
Flo, you can stick your channel in the link too. Flo does a really good live panel, but daily or almost every day.
No, every other, maybe every third day. It's not really scheduled. It's just sort of like, as time allows. But
because I see you mostly in the evenings.
Yeah, it is mostly in the evenings, and they tend to run shit. Lately, they've been running real late. I'll drop it in the back chat. But
like Machine Lives level late. And
yeah,
when he have the trolls on, they have really good conversations. I enjoy his panels.
Thank you. Yeah, they're fun, and I get a lot of positive feedback about it. So I plan to keep it going.
Awesome. All right, peace out, guys.
Hey, good talking.
Hopefully, see you next week. Yeah, I'm trying to put together a little streaming network or channel or something, like centralize this community.
Oh, good luck.
Website, calendar.
Well, the calendar is just like just a streaming calendar, so everyone can.
It'd be like a little TV guide for the
so that we don't step on each other's toes,
And then
it seems like it's a big problem. Like, like a lot of people start streaming, and then they don't realize that they got two other people streaming at the same time. That they'd rather, like that way we can kind of like look at who's streaming and when, and kind of work around it. It'd be a totally voluntary thing. It's not like it's going to be like, not like we're going to try to enforce it or something. If you want to stream at the same time as somebody else, like, you're welcome to, but
I also like Neurojack's idea of having multiple streams going at once that people could bounce between.
Yeah, for certain kinds of streams, for like Machine Lies and stuff like that, to have like a counter stream whenever he's got all those trolls and everything just taken over. That way, that even Machine himself can jump over to the other stream and kind of let the trolls go at it.
He did that once, I think. He only came on my stream one time for like just a second.
Oh, he left his show and went on your stream?
Yeah, but he wasn't even in there long enough to say anything. Like, he just kind of came in for a minute and then listened to a few sentences and then dipped out. And I didn't realize until after that he was still streaming as well. So
yeah, we should do like a little streaming fest or something and have 5 or 6 of us going at once.
Yeah, I have.
People sample each stream.
I personally, because I'm listening to this shit all the time, right? Like, I only get on at night, and because I'm working and doing other stuff, but I listen to it all day long. And so by the time I get off work, if somebody's on, and I feel like jumping out, like, really, it's. I guess most of my streams sort of launch out of Jack's, don't they? Huh? Because I don't like the scheduling idea, but I do think that there's sort of a natural tendency for people to want to maximize their time, right? And if somebody else is streaming at the same time as you, that's gonna take a divot on your regular return viewers.
That's why if we had a calendar, people could strategically place their streams.
Yeah, they could. You'll never get somebody like me to even commit to a time.
Well, then there would have to be some.
It won't work for me.
Yeah, there have to be some spaces for spontaneous streamers that just start up whatever. And so we can have that at like a separate and also look out for these streamers, catch them at random times, and then because the calendar is going to be you'll post your own streams on the calendar. Well, everybody will have access. And so when you go live, just throw it up there and it'll show up. And I also, you were on Machines this week, Saturday.
Was I?
I liked that conversation about relationships that got started because we're trying to do some of that here too. And I thought you did a really good job on that.
I don't recall.
Lives.
At the end of it, about how he should get divorced.
Yeah.
Tell
everybody to get divorced.
I mean,
it's not your wife, it's you. You picked her. You're staying in a dysfunctional relationship. You need to look at yourself.
I mean, it's both of them, but those guys, they need to just get out of it.
It's
I don't know.
codependence because I even see it with some of the guests and the trolls that come on. They have a codependent thing going on with them too.
Sure. I feel like one of the best decisions I ever made was to get out of my marriage quickly instead of dragging out that bullshit. And to see these people dragging out something that's like way further down the bullshit line than mine ever got to, I'm like, what are you doing, man? You got to just abort that mission.
How long were you in yours?
We were together about 4 years total, but we were only married for like a year.
Oh, okay. Did it probably showed up the first 3 years before marriage?
Not as much as after marriage. You're talking about the crazy?
Yeah, so that's when it escalated.
Yeah, I mean, it did. So it did, but like we sort of hit that sweet spot. We met when I was in college, and then we got married pretty shortly after. And so basically, when we met, we got along well while we were kids playing and partying. Right? We could party together, but then when we had to transition into adult life and adult together, that wasn't happening at all.
Oh, so having to like grow up and be responsible together,
Right?
marriage going.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, we were too similar. But both of us were absolutely convinced that we were ultimately the boss, right? Like at the end of the day, we both thought that we were going to call the shots, and ultimately, at the end of the day, I was going to call the shots. And I don't know.
That didn't happen.
No, I mean it did happen. I did call the shots. Ultimately, I filed.
But not. Oh, you mean okay?
Yeah, I filed. I got custody. She got the '94 Honda Accord.
Oh, you have kids?
Yeah, we have one.
Oh, and you have custody?
Mm-hmm. She's 13 now, but she's 2 at the time.
Well, it's good that you got the divorce like while you're still young enough, like it was still young enough where it was like too terribly
Yeah.
dramatic.
Yeah, and TML doesn't seem like John seems like he's not accepting reality.
Yeah, he's still holding out hope.
I mean, he viewed the way that he's viewed and who he's blaming and the way that he's narrating the situation to himself. I've never met her, but I can guarantee you that that's not accurate. TML seems like he's got a pretty accurate understanding of the situation. Probably he just won't. I don't know. I think that he's trying to make what he's doing virtuous, and I don't see it that way.
I think he really loves her. I've talked to him pretty extensively about it.
I think he does too.
He has a really deep love for, and like besides she's also because I have a understanding. I have my wife's schizophrenic too, and his wife is also schizophrenic, and this all happened in that. I mean, we talked about this on stream, so I don't think that this is something I have to this is something that was talked about on stream but like whenever basically she took off whenever like she went off her meds, so that's what a lot of this comes down to, and that's the reason why like he's having such a hard time with it. I think he feels somewhat responsible for the situation because the fact that it was their decision for her to go off the meds because like some asshole told them that she needed to go off her olanzapine for them to have a baby. And
is that a benzo?
No, it's an antipsychotic. It's the same thing my wife's on it, and whenever someone who has schizophrenia that takes well to it, when they're on it, they're completely normal people. You'd never know they're schizophrenic. My wife, you will never know she's schizophrenic whenever she's on her meds. But if
go ahead, sorry.
No, if she goes off them, it's a whole different situation. So, I mean, that's where it comes down to, and like getting someone who's in that state to accept taking their meds again, that can be moving.
Why don't they want to take their meds again?
Side effects.
Some people. I mean, a lot of people get paranoid. A lot of schizophrenic people get paranoid about the meds themselves. They think the meds are controlling them. They think all sorts of. I mean, like you have to understand, like schizophrenia is one of the most insidious and evil things you'll ever be up against. If you've ever looked it in the eyes and seen like the person that I knew my wife for God, like 16 years, 16 years, never saw that until like until she went to psychosis suddenly, and like it was a different person. I'm just saying it's not as simple as just like with TML situation. It's not that simple, and I have nothing but empathy for him in that situation. I understand your advice, and it's maybe not bad advice at all. But
well, I mean, for him, it's good. Yeah, I mean, I get both sides of it. For him, it is good advice. Like, just because you care about someone and you want to help the situation does not mean that you can start a family with that person. Maybe you can. I don't know her at all. Well, I guess I do. I've seen her in the chat enough times that pisses me off. I don't know what the fuck she's doing coming to his live streams and bother like right before he's about to go live. She fucks up his brain, right? And I told him, I said, there's no way to interpret that except as malicious.
No, if for a schizophrenic brain, it's not malicious. It's just I can just tell you, it's not that simple. It really isn't. And I wish I could, because like I wanted so badly when I was going through it, I wanted so badly to boil it down to simple things like that, to simple like maliciousness or this or that, but it just isn't. Like if she was, I mean, but once my wife got on her meds and like was her normal state again, she couldn't even remember most of the stuff, but the stuff she could remember, she felt terrible for. She was just nothing but apology. I mean, it's a complete it's an insidious evil disease. I don't know what else to tell you. It is the most evil thing I've ever seen. If it's not the reason that people believe that people were possessed, like the reason people think people got possessed by demons, if that's not the reason why, I don't know what else could be. Because it absolutely had me half convinced that a demon has possessed my wife. I mean, there's only explanation. And like it's something I don't think that occurs to you either. They already been through that part, but like whenever I was going through all this stuff, I had no idea schizophrenia was even on the table. I didn't know that was even an option. I just like, what the fuck is happening to my brain? Like she's a different person. It's a very, very, it's insidious. It's just something, one of those things you cannot really understand it until you've been through it. And I hope nobody else has to go through it. I really don't.
And I never had any experience firsthand with it. But just from the bit of research I've done, I don't know. Something just feels like there's more to it than what the kind of common explanation is. That it's just a delusion.
Oh, it's something.
I don't know,
more than
but I don't
that.
have
I'll give you that. It's definitely much more than just a delusion. There's
like,
something.
It almost sounds, and I'm not religious, but it sounds more like demon possession than it does.
It really does. It really.
Drunk people see demon possessed.
If it weren't for the fact that taking a pill will actually cure it, I mean, not cure it, but like we'll stop it. We'll actually put them in the right mind. I would still think it was demon possession. Because whenever the doctor finally gave her the olanzapine and like gave it to her, I never would have imagined in a million years that she would have woken up the next morning and been my wife again. That was the last thing. That was more weird to me than everything else before it. I was
Jerry Mrozinski.
Yeah,
I could not think of his name.
I don't know him either. When I worked in patient psych, I saw that all the time. People would come in completely psychotic and out of their head and not even in reality, and the doctors would give them whatever, and a day or two later they were completely normal people. Just like
were they normal or were they sedated?
No, they were able to have a conversation. Their delusions were gone. So whatever I've seen medication have that effect on these conditions.
No, my wife didn't go to a sedated state. She was herself. In fact, if anything, it was like more herself than I'd seen her since we first started dating. Like that, I suddenly could see that there'd been deterioration over time that I didn't even know about. That I hadn't even noticed because it was slow until I hit that point. Because like she was like 100%. This is the woman I married again, right? It's bizarre, man. There's no way to explain it to somebody until you see it with your own eyes and you're like, holy shit, like how is that even possible? It's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing.
If you can cure it with a chemical, there must be a deficiency of something, right? Right? Doesn't that just make mathematical sense?
Brain disease.
Huh?
It's an organic disease of the brain.
Right, but what is it that the pill has that is so effective at curing this? That's
That's
what,
one of that's one of the most fucked up things about all the pills like that is if you really look into them, they all have like this thing of like they think that it might work like this, but we don't really know. Anything that passes the blood-brain barrier has this like this mysterious magical type of thing, like talk about it, where it's like we think that it might affect this part of the brain to do this, but we don't actually know. And that's the most fucked. It's like they just kind of like guess. It's a
that's
complete
fucking
guessing.
wild.
It's more than wild. Like I've always, I mean, I've had ADHD and like a depression and anxiety and stuff my whole life and stuff like that. So I've had mental illness, in my life certainly. But like mental illness like that, it's a different. It's not even. I don't think they should be considered in the same category. It's like something else entirely.
Well,
It's something closer to like Alzheimer's, like the kind of way Alzheimer's changes somebody. You know how if you ever had a loved one that had Alzheimer's and an elderly person, you know how like they'll turn into like these like mean people, they turn mean and they don't know who anyone is and they get angry and all stuff like that. It's very like Adaptable said. He says that the voices they hear are indeed demonic in nature. They always run patterns. They're always negative, self-defeating delusions. Never positive. And that's true. And like it's what she would hear constantly. The things that what was driving her insane was that she would have these voices in her head that were just telling her all these horrible things about everything. But they were like since that's the only thing she could hear. She became kind of dependent on them because they were the only friends she kind of had in a way because she couldn't hear anybody else. If I tried to talk to her, she couldn't really hear me. She could just hear their voices. So that's how fucked up it got.
to me, it seemed like voice to skull technology or something, right? Like that sounded more like the best explanation I could come up with. But it seemed better than demons, which demons sounded better than it's just a delusion, right? Because there's obviously if it's just random delusions, you're gonna have random results, not consistent negative messages.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. All I know is that.
Do you have a theory? What do you
I have
think?
a theory?
Yeah, or do you think it's just hallucination?
I don't even know. I mean, honestly, it's beyond me because like all I know is that like the pills work, and I never expected that. At the point that we got those, we went to the doctor and actually got a doctor that actually prescribed it to her. I had completely given up on everything. I'd given up on like my life, everything. I let everything just kind of go to shit because I was like, well, we're going to be dead soon anyway. I didn't see any point in like even try. Like there was nothing I could do to make things better.
We're going to be dead. How old are you?
42, but I mean like because the way things were going, like it was only a matter of time before like she would snap or something would happen. Like I mean, it was that bad. Okay, I mean it was like this we couldn't keep living like this. Right. And like the hospital, she'd been to 2 hospitals and the 2 hospitals didn't do anything at all. They didn't even bother prescribing anything to her. They just gave her some light sedatives and sent her home after 2 weeks after me literally like selling off every valuable possession I had and everything in order to pay them to keep her there because they kept like extorting me for money. And so I sold my guitars and all this stuff like that and just to pay them off. And then they sent her home with nothing, and she was exactly the same. And then she came back home, and everything was exactly the same. And like, dude, she would like sit there and just like you would just see her. She would just like stare off the distance like this and do this stuff with her hands and just like this all the time. And she would be like moving her mouth and like talking to something, but you couldn't. And it was just it was creepy, and it was like some Halloween like some horror movie shit. And I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's demons. I don't think that it was like I do think that it's a serious disease of the brain. It's the same thing. Alzheimer's is the same thing. I've seen. I had a grandmother, a great grandmother that went to Alzheimer's and had dementia and stuff like that too, and it was very similar. It was very similar to that, and it's a extremely disturbing thing to be around. You'd like my great grandmother. You'd go to take her. I'd go to take her breakfast in the morning sometimes when I was staying with helping out with them. I'd take her breakfast in the mornings, and she'd be telling me about like the things that the people on TV told her the night before. and like it would be like this really disturbing shit. I can't remember any of the specifics now, but man, it was like it would shake me. And I was like 14. It was like it shook me to my core, you know. And so like it was very similar to that. So I mean, it's just there's just nothing you can really compare it to. I mean, and a lot of times, like, you know, schizophrenics, like people get the reason why a lot of times they end up in the street is because their families don't know how to deal with them, and like they wander off from their house, and like they just don't come back. Their parent and the people that, you know, that love them, they look for them for a little while and they just stop looking for them, and like so they just end up on the street. It's heartbreaking. It's tragic. It's like they don't even know where they are anymore. They don't know what's going on, and like it's kind of impossible to find them, so they don't even know where they live anymore at that point, you know. It's
Our brains are chemical. Like,
yeah,
I've done enough psychedelic drugs to know how sensitive to chemicals the brain is and the effects it could have on them. And look at alcohol and drunk people and meth addicts. Look at some of the people that come on these panels and the effect chemicals have on them.
They're all. It's funny. I've noticed that there are more recovered. I'm doing air quotes here, because I'm sure not all of them are as recovered as they say they are. But there are more addicts running channels.
Why do you think that is? Like, is it they think they have wisdom to share, or is it?
No, I think it's a dopamine fix. I think you get attention dopamine, you get instant your kickback, whether it's, you know, whether you're getting roasted or praised, you get instant feedback. And I had another one too. There's a level of escapism that it provides.
yeah, and I think a lot of them might have mental illnesses, and most people with schizophrenia also tend to self-medicate with
And
things like
neurodivergence, probably 80-90%.
Yeah.
Autism, ADHD.
I've got ADHD. I'm not sure I'm convinced it's real though. I actually
I could tell. Like, if you didn't know it, I was going to tell you that you had it.
that I have ADHD.
You can even see it on the panels.
Oh, I have ADHD hardcore. I know. I didn't really believe it that much until like I took like the big long, this giant test they gave me, and like, you know how you can tell in the test, like you can tell what answer is kind of like leaning in which direction, and like I'd be looking at these like really specific, hyper specific questions they give me, and I'd be like, oh shit, yeah, that's me. That's me. You know, like these are things.
Same thing. Yeah, when I got tested in college the first time that I got diagnosed. I got tested in college because I wanted Adderall, right? But then when I looked at the packet they have you fill out, it was obvious, you know, what the right answers were. But I got curious because like the right answers were also my answers, and so I just filled it out normally. I didn't cheat it at all.
Exactly.
And when I went in. The first time I meet with a psychiatrist, he's like, Taylor, and he shuffles through his desk, finds my paper. He goes, Taylor, right. And he's flipping through. He goes, now, Taylor, most people come to college and they think they have ADHD and they don't. But you absolutely do. Like, have you ever taken Adderall before? If so, what worked best for you? I was like, 20s time released, as many a day as I can get. Or not time released, instant released.
Dude, I'm right now, like, they just put me back on it. I just finally got back on Adderall. They put me on 33 times a day, instant release. That's how strong my ADHD is.
They wouldn't do that. They would give me, I could get 3 20s or I could get 2 30s. But I think that was where they topped it out. But I was only on it for a few years. Yeah.
I haven't taken it the last couple of days because I've been sick and I've been trying to sleep. But, like, I am a much once I get evened out on it, I'm a much more like focused, easy to. My brain just works better on Adderall than it does otherwise.
Well, no shit, everyone does. It's amphetamine.
I've never tried it. Mine's never been bad enough to.
There are definitely diminishing returns, right? Like your first day, you're good. Your second day, you're rough.
I have the opposite. Like my first few weeks on it are kind of like make me jittery and sick feeling. It's not until I've been on it for about a month before it evens out. Like it actually I stop getting like the insane highs from it. Like, and then it just kind of like it all like mellows out. It takes me a while to get there. It's not. I have in along like 19, 20 years ago, I did meth back then, like experimenting with drugs, but like it's nothing like meth. It was for me at all. So it's not the same type thing.
Oh, I thought meth was milder.
But what's that?
Meth was milder.
Oh yeah, I would say meth is milder. Meth is milder. That's true.
The 70s meth.
But I mean, I haven't like, so that's been 19, 20 years ago. But like I don't know, man. Like I think Adaptable said that. What'd you say? Please explain how one can use chemicals to correct the imbalance in the brain if they have no baseline for what the chemical should be. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how to answer that question.
My answer to that question would be they can't, and the pharmaceutical industry is the front window of what's really the chemical warfare, chemical weapons industry in back of the house. That's what I think.
Well, I believe that only to a degree that my wife went to two different hospitals, okay? Two different hospitals, like in hospitals, right? Like for schizophrenia. And neither one of them even attempted to put her on olanzapine, which olanzapine immediately cured her schizophrenia. At least cured it, but like immediately like got rid of all the symptoms of it. She was a normal person afterwards. None of them gave it to her. It has no terrible side effects that can be spoken of. It doesn't have, like, if you give it to somebody and it doesn't have any effect, no big deal. It's not going to kill somebody by accident. It's not one of these drugs that has an addiction potential. It doesn't give a high. But they wouldn't give it to her until we went to this one until we went to a doctor that was like basically a state-run, like a charity facility. After I had lost everything, I lost my job, I lost everything trying to get her balanced and everything. And once we got that, and she was fine. So like, I definitely think there's something fucked up going on with the pharmaceutical, with medical industry. The fact that they wouldn't just try the drug that they all diagnosed with schizophrenia. And the one drug that the first line of offense against schizophrenia is olanzapine, and nobody gave it to her until after we had lost everything, and like that, and we lost 2 years of our lives basically because after when the first doctor wouldn't even give her like the drug that they give everyone for that. It makes me angry. I get very angry about it. I try not to think about it too much, but
I bet you do.
Yeah, I just thinking about it makes me yeah. Anyway, hey Joshua, hey Joshua, see, and Hank. I mean, it's it's open panel, guys. You guys are welcome to come on.
But yeah, I don't think ADHD is real. I think that we just have an unnatural lifestyle, an unnatural modern lifestyle.
Well, maybe so, but I definitely every single whatever you call it, like marker for ADHD that you can have, I have it.
Oh yeah, me too. Don't get me like, there was no shade at you, and by all means, do your Adderall for sure. I think anybody who wants that should go get it. I don't think it's a disease though. I think it's a
mental chemical imbalance.
It's not a disease.
Disease or disease is this fucking microplastic. It's like knockoff pebbles.
Oh, okay. I thought it was. I'm thinking of something from.
No, it's just sugar and food coloring and microplastics.
I don't think it's a disease.
Yeah, it's not a disease. It's just a brain variation. No two brains are alike. Anyway.
Disorder, not disease, as Joshua said. Yeah, I agree. It's a disorder. Yeah.
I don't. What is a disorder compared to a disease?
Some people don't even call it that.
Or an imbalance. It's an imbalance per se. You might say your brain is just like.
I consider a variation.
A variation that works too. It's a variation. It's a variation that can be very detrimental if it's not. Until very recently, I tried with great difficulty to try to deal without any, because I didn't have access to any medications. I lost my insurance and everything, so I had no access to any of my medications for the last 3 years, 2.5, 3 years or so, and believe me, those were 2.5, 3 years that were very, very difficult for me to do anything, to get anything done. So
feel free to tell me to fuck off. But what do you do, or ish? What sort of stuff do you do? I'm not trying to dox you, but I want to know what you do for work.
I mean, I used to work for. I managed movie theaters largely whenever I was younger. I've worked for Amazon for almost 6 years, doing different things, and then that's where I had health insurance and stuff. And then I lost that job whenever I got I stupidly took the freaking vaccine shot, the Fauci ouchie as they call it, back in 2021. And it gave me this permanent vertigo state where I'm constantly spinning feeling. And so it made it where it's really impossible for me to like walk around and do basic things. So I can kind of sit here and do this, but even this, like sometimes I have to like lay down doing.
He passed out the other day on the street.
Yeah. I can't do normal. I've lost 3 teeth from falling. I had all these missing teeth because I fell and knocked my teeth out. The vertigo has become like the my Achilles heel more or less. So there's not a lot of, and I try like hell. I've been trying like hell to find jobs I can do online or something like that, but it's not really been all that easy to do. It's just like it's just not hard to find that. It's just not easy to find those kind of jobs. And
he's creative. He writes. He makes music, movies.
When I was in high school,
I've been a creative person my whole life, but in terms of for money, I don't have any money. I don't have anything. I really do right now.
Yeah, no, what I was trying to get at is like what your Adderall enables you to do, and if you had a particular boring like job or something. I used to work in a bank. I used to be a banker.
Right.
I hated it. I had no idea how much I hated it though until I wasn't doing it anymore.
Right now, what hopefully once I fully get full, and I've already started getting back into. I've been sick the last couple of days, but I've been starting to get my focusing again on writing and focusing again on like relearning editing and so I can edit videos and make graphics and do stuff for the streams and stuff like that, because the only area in my life right now that I have any kind of real traction in is this. And so this is what I'm focusing on. I'm trying to do what I can with the with our streams, and I'm trying to reach out and find people to come on the streams, trying to get some traction in terms of like, some different streamers.
You're going to be the meow wolf of streamers.
Have you considered OnlyFans?
Who's going to pay for my OnlyFans?
Hey, if you know how to hustle that, you make a connection with your clients, you let them choose which vegetable you have sex with.
Man,
do you do OnlyFans?
No. I'm just being goofy.
Yeah. Man, if I had that kind of self-confidence that I could get away with that, maybe I might do it, but I don't have that kind of self-confidence. I don't believe in myself enough.
Just be brave. Anything's a dildo if you're brave enough.
Especially now that I'm missing these teeth here, this makes my self-confidence is like has like really torpedoed since then. So
I did a face plant on a hardwood floor when I was in high school, and luckily I didn't lose any teeth, but I broke my nose and I bit through my lip. That was unfun.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I mean, these were just like one of them fell out in my sleep after I cracked it on but the other two, like literally I had lost my balance and just like smacked face first into a wall, one into the floor. The other one I'm not sure exactly when what fall cracked it enough where it fell out, but yeah. It's just dizzy, just absolute, just trying to get around my house just to like do some basic cleaning. That's all it took, I try to keep a good sense of humor about it. I try not to get too like, Right now I'm doing everything I can to try to find like some form of like some form of way to try to like support my family. And right now we're surviving.
Do you qualify for disability? Because I know that they're so weird about injuries from the V that they love to deny that basically anything they can.
Yep. No, that's what I found. I applied for disability. and I've been rejected twice without even like they didn't even try to do a medical exam on me.
Have you tried doing it without referencing the thing, and just say you have vertigo?
I haven't, but I have a judge hearing coming up in January, and I have in fact in just a couple of days I have a call with a lawyer. They're supposed to go over everything with me to try to tell me what I'm supposed to say and everything like that to see
how long ago did they schedule this? Because that's 3 months out. What, 3 months out or something?
3 months out. Well, I first applied 2 years ago, so.
See, that's kind of fucked.
No, yeah, it takes forever, and then they usually deny you the first time, and then you have to.
According to my lawyer, no one has been getting approved the first 2 times. Pretty much, no one's getting approved until you get to the judge, the adjudication hearing.
Is this for any disability or just for V related?
For most of them, unless it's very obvious, like if you have no legs or something.
Yeah.
The standard is if there's any type of work at all you can do, then they tend to deny you. So even if you have no legs, there may be something from home you can do.
Yeah, which I would be totally happy with that. I would love to. I would much rather have a job, and I apply for jobs all the time that are work from home.
Chris, if they see you on here streaming every day, they're not ever going to give it to you. You're already.
You know what? If I had no scruples, and I'm not saying that you don't, or that you do, whatever you get what I'm saying. If I wanted to make money online, and it wouldn't make me feel like a bad person, I would definitely work the Christian grift and be like a YouTube evangelist. You can get, I bet you can get more cash for some hallelujahs and some of that shit.
Yeah, I
don't you have to be convincing,
bro?
Not really. No,
I can be convincing if I need to.
Well, what grift are you working?
I don't have it. If I were working a grift, it would not be this one. Do you know what the return on time is? I'm paying myself like 10 cents an hour for the amount of money that I make off YouTube.
Why do you do this? What motivates you?
A little bit of, there's not one central thing, but one thing that I can say was when I realized that this, as far as we know, right, as far as recorded human history goes, never before has somebody just been able for free to potentially talk to the entire world about whatever the fuck they want, right?
Yeah.
So realizing that situation kind of made me feel like, well, shit, I got to. Also, what's it called? The the norms, right? Moving the conversation of what the norm is. The Oppenheimer window. The Overton window, yeah. Particularly during the COOF. It's like, goddamn, everything I turn on is some bullshit that I don't like. So I might as well throw my voice in the ring. And
so you feel like say that you're trying to get out there?
No, I don't have a particular message. Like I don't have a central theme message for the channel. And really for the streams I've been doing lately, I barely have one for the stream. Right. My videos typically, if I make it a video that is uploaded and recorded and is not just a clipped out live stream segment, that generally does have one. But yeah, no, it's
so just like for community and connection,
for fun, and not even so much community and connection. I mean, maybe a bit. I do enjoy that. But like I've got a family. I work. I've got more people. I don't have any shortage of social connections, I guess.
So it's recreational or just an outlet? Yeah,
it has been. Actually, the last month or two, the last probably 3 months, I've made enough money off of donations and stuff that I'd be lying if I didn't say that I can't live off it for sure, but like I noticed it for the first time. But I've been doing it for 3 years before that, so that's sort of like a surprise bonus.
That's nice.
Yeah, you got to put in the work to grow these channels. I'm learning.
Hey, Josh.
Well, I've been very inconsistent for the 3.5 years I had a channel. I was wildly inconsistent. It just lately I've been a little bit more routine about it, but I've also been working for myself, and so I can do what I can listen to shit all day long, and no boss is going to bother me.
So you work from home?
No, I am a independent contractor. So like today I had a flooring demo job and a painting job. I don't personally like to paint, but it was I had people doing it. My people were doing it. So it's big enough that I can keep about 3 or 4 people busy at a time. But small enough that it's not going to be full time, and I don't hire anybody that I don't already, or I haven't so far hired anybody that I didn't already know.
So you kind of have halfway normal real life outside of this.
Sure. Yeah. Yes, I would say so.
Yeah, and most people on these panels do not. They're not.
No.
At least the ones that are regular. There's normal people that hop on me once in a while, like Sarah, but most people, like I said, large plurality don't have jobs at all.
I would say that's correct. It's time consuming to make content. Honestly, it's probably more time consuming. Well, it is more time consuming to make videos than it is to make streams.
Oh yeah, streams. I just turn on the camera.
Yeah, streams go longer though, right? Because I mean, I would say the same amount of time goes into a 30-minute video as goes into a fucking long ass live stream. Because by the time you do shoot this, reshoot this, think about that. Oh, I said too many times.
Yeah.
You know, editing is especially since like I do every bit of editing on my phone with a free app. You know, it's not like I got a setup.
Oh wow.
Hank, did I just see you yawn? Are you sleeping on my talking?
You can see him. I can't see him at all. You look like a silhouette.
Wait, what the hell's wrong with yawning?
I forgot to turn my light on. Yes.
Yeah, don't come on my stream and yawn. We're trying to grow viewers.
Jesus, not my fault. It's like, well, it's not that early in the morning.
Shade.
I woke up late. I'm allowed to yawn. Damn it! I just woke up.
Nobody looks at you.
This is true.
We can't see your fucking face. So what does it matter? You can yawn all you want.
I'm sorry.
Schizophrenia in particular.
He said you could yawn, not masturbate. I recognize those terms.
Damn it. My I'm coming face and my I'm sorry face are the same apparently. I got it. Oh, that's bad. That's so bad.
That joke, it was bad.
No, but well, I don't know. My old lady, she gets kind of pissed off about it.
I bet she gets pissed off when she asks about you for a citation. You can't provide one too.
Well, you want to go down that path?
Oh, absolutely.
Which one of your claims? Here you go. Which one of your claims do you want to go with?
Is it from the Discord?
Yes, it's from the Machine Lies Discord.
This is a spur
thing. We'll go over it real quick. Joshua Jones claims that Andrew Wilson of the Crucible hates going on modern day debate.
No, that's not what I said.
If you're going to cite me, moderation.
If you're going to cite me,
it's not true.
Me accurately.
Oh shit! It's just how you interpret. It's a misinterpretation and miscommunication.
Yeah, it's not. Andrew Wilson's fond of them. Matt Dillahunty is the one who hates modern debate now.
No, Andrew is not fine with MDD.
Okay, so what I need you to do is find the video where he says that he's fucking debate and simply link it to himself and watch it. It's very simple.
Here's your link. The Q&A after the Matt Dillahunty, when he returned home, after that debate with Matt Dillahunty, the Q&A at the end of the video, he exactly describes the people at MDD and he explains explicitly what the problem is with it, or what his perception of the problem is with it.
Okay.
The people of MDD.
What you need to do is copy and paste it into the thread. Copy and paste that one into the thread. I'll search
You go look it up.
No, not doing my own research. You, said you got the good.
No, I'm not doing my own research. I like that.
Through his damn channel with thousands of videos. Fuck off! I'm telling you exactly what video it is, and it's the Q&A specifically at the end of the video.
Copy and paste that video into the thread.
It sounds like you're wanting him to do research.
It's so stupid. They're having an argument over what.
I know. I'm just helping them. Well, I'm helping Hank, I guess.
Yeah, so just copy and paste that video into
because next you're gonna want because next you're gonna want I gotta have the exact fucking timestamp too, right?
I don't need a timestamp.
That would be helpful.
Well, it would be helpful, but I don't need a timestamp. I know it's search for things. But I want to be able to hold you accountable.
Andrew Wilson is not a big fan or cheerleader of modern debate, if that's what you think.
I know. I don't think he's a cheerleader, but he's not angry at them.
Who is? No, I don't think anyone said he was angry.
Who said he said he was angry at him?
Oh, that's
you did.
Guy?
You did.
Yeah,
I absolutely never used the word angry.
That's why this is stupid, because none of you are saying anything of substance, and then y'all are misinterpreting on top of that. This whole thing is stupid.
Yeah, I agree. It is stupid. I need you to do Johnson. Just paste the video. Paste the video.
I'm going to say it again. He described it explicitly. The people at MDD he considers, and I'm going to cite the word, trash, garbage, horrible, useless people.
And garbage.
I feel like he would say that about a lot of people.
He actually would. To be fair, that is true.
He probably said that about us, so that's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, he definitely says
our show still, so it's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, you're a Satanist, so he for sure feels that way about you.
Yeah, the gay Satanist. Yeah, he throws it every chance he gets.
Yeah. Just Unitarian University we did a debate, and we'll accept it too.
I've been meaning to contact Modern Day Debate and get like on their whatever the roster or something, and I don't ever do it.
I'll get you in there. I'll do it right now.
I can do it. I just keep forgetting. It's one of those things that I'll see their live and I'll be like, oh, I need to do this, and then I'll move on with my life and forget all about it till the next time I see them. Go, oh, I should do this.
What topics would you debate?
The first one that comes to my mind was what I saw one debate about the Great Reset. I think it was just called "Is it a real thing?"
No,
and it of course it certainly is. But the guy, oh my God, Jeff! All right, I'll debate you about it.
Oh, go ahead, go just tell him.
But the guy, I don't remember even who was debating, but the dude who was on, of my opinion, did the most garbage ass terrible job. Yeah, that it was agitating, but yeah, it's whatever. I'll argue about anything. I'll argue about what blue tastes like.
That's that 8. You're an 8 wing. I mean an 8.
Yeah, 8 wing 7.
We're the same Enneagram type.
Right on. Do you know your instinctual
variant?
variant?
What does blue taste like?
I'm a sexual.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm a social 5.
Are you a 5? I don't know if you're a 5. I
do know that I'm a 5. I've done my research.
All right, fair enough. You would know better than I would.
I can see it. Well, tell me about the Great Reset. That's the conspiracy theory.
I mean, you're referring to the right thing, but you're doing it in the wrong way intentionally.
No, I don't. I know very little about it. Other than
I mean, it's definitely a thing. I mean, you can go to the World Economics Forum, it's their phrase. It's their. Klaus Schwab has a book called The Great Reset. It's definitely a thing, not just invented like I don't know Crater Earth or
The
whatever.
Great Reset Initiative is an economic. Yes, you're right. Economic recovery plan drawn up. So what's the controversy about it that is up for debate?
Well, and see, I didn't even watch it long enough to get in. The title was "Is it a real thing?" Which of course it is, and I watched like 5 or 10 minutes of it, and the motherfucker never said like exactly what I just said. Like, just look, it's a real fucking thing. I got the book somewhere.
Yeah, no, you're right. I did not know it was a real thing. So I'm on Wikipedia right now.
So I don't know if it got
in their turn. They called it the Great Reset Initiative, which sounds very.
The part that makes it a conspiracy is, or the part that makes it like have a conspiracy addendum to it, is the fact that some group decided that they're going to come up with the concept of the economy or the economical situation is being manipulated by global elites or something shit like that. That's why it kind of gets.
Well, calling it the Great Reset does not help that impression.
Yeah, in fact, to be fair, all have books named The Great Reset now. Check Amazon. Alex Jones has a book called that. Glenn Beck has a book called that. Michael Reckenwald.
Okay, well, they're all. If that's true, Hank, they're all referencing Klaus Schwab's book.
Yes.
Yes.
That'd be fine.
So
I'm still looking at Klaus Schwab's book.
Not. Well, that one I don't know, but that's usually
not living and working drive post crash prosperity. The post 2008 crash.
Yeah, it's not. Society is the one that comes up with these names. It's like the Big Bang Theory. That shit. She was the three.
No,
the
Society didn't come up with the Great Reset name.
I'm looking at Richard Florida. You said it's a Klaus Schwab book.
Klaus Schwab, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at a different one. It's very rare I can get educated like this.
And the Big Bang Theory. Talk about something that makes no sense.
The one I'm looking at is a book by Richard Florida. Oh, The Great Reset Narrative. Let's see. December 2021, The Great Reset Narrative. It's called The Great Narrative for a Better Future. And people are calling it The Great Reset. But he called it The Great Narrative.
Yeah, Society usually comes up with these names.
And he wrote it after the Great Reset Initiative came out from WEF.
The World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
He's actually playing off of their term. So somebody
right.
WEF came up with
That's my point. Is this is not a society term. This is a World Economic Forum title.
Yeah, it's just I would not have picked that word in either. I don't know what they're trying to reset or what they're even trying to suggest or communicate.
The narrative, obviously. They're trying to reset the narrative. And
economic deregulation and private business.
Well, it's total societal. It's total societal reconstruction, basically.
So the globalists, these are globalists.
Well, that's where you get into the conspiracy part. Who's
globalism is real. There is an ideology called globalism, which some people espouse that we should transcend national borders and become one global society.
I'm sorry. Klaus Schwab's book is
maybe down the road, but we're definitely not ready for that now.
Yeah, not ready now. I agree.
Like lifetimes away, but not anything that any of us should have to worry about.
Two at most. If repair cars rights will only take 2 lifetimes.
So if they're going to try to accelerate this, that's what I consider globalism.
Yes, and they are. The whole smart city, 15-minute city thing, no carbon emissions, all that shit it's all wrapped up in part of it.
Well, we're not going to get to no carbon emissions because our bodies emit carbon. So that's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's and that's the theory, right? They're going to want to put a carbon tax on organisms, which means you'll have to pay for your breaths, essentially.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, and they want to make me pay them to access the sun too. I mean, I'll just be a criminal. Screw that.
It's not inconceivable, right? If food like wheat becomes genetically modified to where it can be privately owned and then it's sterile. If currency is digital, You know, it's not impossible to. I don't think it will, you know, become reality, but it's not an impossible. It's not that far fetched of a concept.
So it's not impossible, but they're going to need to cut me in, or I won't let the system work. And I know.
And there's been weirder shit. I mean, India used to have a breast tax, where lower class of women would have to pay a tax to cover their breasts in public. There's been weirder shit than that. Hank's like, damn, I was born in the wrong place at the wrong time. I saw that laugh.
I guess I need to visit India. I was always thinking about it. Going to Mumbai.
This is not something that you can just impose top down. They need to go through the Western.
They need to convince people.
Democratic process.
Well, they need to. Yeah, I don't know if you all pay attention to local governments or not, but I do, and they're doing a good job of it.
There's not much going on where I am. Maybe in Seattle.
Well, they
local government I pay attention to. I don't know about everybody else's. I don't care about the rest of the next county over. I don't care about unless I have property.
Yeah, I go through my next county, so I kind of look at the neighboring counties, but I don't pay too much attention to them.
So I live in the Kansas City metro area, and Kansas City, I think, was the first smart city in the country. So there's some of that. But yeah, we're getting a few miles from my house, they're building a massive Panasonic battery plant that they plan to use for EVs, even though I think that phenomenon is going to die as well. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
It can make sense, but we need more nuclear power plants. We won't be able to output enough power throughput to make it make sense. So we need more.
I mean, as it is, it's worse for the environment than just combustion engines. It's wild. It's economic warfare, is my opinion.
Yeah, which is
between groups.
Yeah, which is why I care about pollution, but not what's called greenhouse gases. I don't care about greenhouse gases. I care about pollution.
Which, if we really wanted to solve that problem, then we would be converting plastic trash into fuel, because you can do that, and it's all petroleum.
Why aren't we?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Adaptable, why are you doing this to me?
What's happening?
Well, plastic collection on its own would be problematic.
Yeah, it'd be tedious, but so is getting oil out of the ground. I don't know. I don't know it would be that much more tedious, but I don't know what I don't know.
Maybe the plan is to just put in the landfill and then mining it later.
I'm probably naive and all that. I just assume that scientists are already working on.
Yeah, you're naive.
The scientists.
You can see what the scientists are working on by just going into the university site. It's really
the scientists work for the politicians, and the politicians
come up with an idea that scientists haven't already thought of and tried.
There's a whole bunch of ideas. I mean, there's software I need still.
Well, maybe software, but I'm talking about large scale solutions.
I don't think science gets enough credit for how there's barriers to entry and there's barriers to membership, and it's all driven by money still,
Well, that's big science. I'm just talking
right
scientific type people.
Oh,
well,
okay,
if you're looking for the small sciences, there's DIY refractors for plastic, where you can make your own petrol at home, kind of thing.
See, I've got a few old 5-gallon propane tanks, or the bigger ones, whatever, and I've cut open, and I have set aside to make distillers for plastic fuel, but I just haven't done anything with them yet.
I make wood gas. It's a pain in the ass for storage, but I'm lazy. My farmhouse in New York, we make our own electricity. We've never had an electric bill, but I'm kind of
hold on, wait, don't skip past that. How do you do that?
Both hydro and wind. We just don't use the big wind turbines. We use a series of small ones. I use the alternator. But upstate New York is very windy, so I mean, two out of 4 days, you're probably spending half the time. You've got at least 4 to 6 mile an hour winds.
And how much electricity can you generate off of?
easily enough to power 3 homes.
Hmm.
The hydro, that's a little bit more problematic because you violate a shitload of laws apparently doing that. So we've got like a creek that has constant water flow, but put a dam across that thing. That's a EPA nightmare. If they ever catch us, we're fucked. That's got to be a huge ass fine. You're not supposed to do shit like that.
Are you doing it?
Yes.
Say no. As your lawyer.
You heard it here, folks.
The only difference between me and a prisoner is the prisoner got caught. I haven't been busted yet. Like, that's the difference.
Pride comes before the fall, little buddy.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Here on Gen X Jeff, now a true crime channel.
Yeah, I thought it was fucking funny because when we go look it up, like you have to pull these building permits. I already have a problem with fucking code enforcement anyways, right? But they're all like, well, you need permission from here. You need and then it started to include the federal government. I was like, what the fuck, right? And they were like, apparently they were always telling everybody, no, you can't do that shit. So I was like, yeah, well, I'm not going to ask permission because, then they'll come looking.
See, I definitely have the same philosophy when it goes there. Like I've got a it's basically a steel shed, but it's underneath the canopy of like one of those portable carport tents, So it from the street, it's got the fabric top and it looks not permanent, but
oh, my shit's out in the open, which is kind of problematic. I mean, you get a lot of ice storms. They really fuck that thing up.
Oh yeah, I live in Kansas. Like the portable ones, I bought 3 of them before I finally just bought. Because they were I didn't buy 3. I bought 1. Harbor Freight has a great warranty program, but the 4th one I just started framing it in, and yeah.
So I'm kind of like it's a little bit weird. If you've got like a little bit of land, you can solve a lot of your problems, right? It does take a little bit of time, and if you got a wood shed and you can tinker around in your shed and build shit, you'll come out ahead. But the problem is it takes a lot of time to learn, and you'll tinker with it, but you get how you want.
But then you've got tinkering.
Then you got the government regulations. So, like example, this bullshit about like the tax credits for getting the solar panels on your house. This is like $15,000 tax deduction. Of course, I put solar panels on my house. I have $15,000 tax deduction. Damn right. And they're useless. They don't produce enough electricity to do anything.
Yes, it's true. But yeah, you need to be in a near the equator for the solar panels to be worth a damn.
But $15,000 tax deduction, hell yeah.
Is it a credit or a deduction?
It's a credit that goes to a deduction later. It's kind of like because the way the program works, at least in our county, is it comes through the county and then applies to some federal shit. I have no idea. You get it. It just comes a little bit later. It's not like an immediate thing. So the county calls it a credit. The Fed call it a deduction.
Did you take out a loan for it?
No.
Good deal. When I was a banker, there was one of the big solar panel companies came and talked to me about financing their clients, right?
Yeah, they're trying to sell shit. Yeah, that's
man, when I got down into the details of that shit, it was such a fucking scam on the bank. Really, I turned them down, but on the clients especially.
Right. Luckily, there weren't any like requirements of who we had to have the panels through. It just, I think the one of the major requirements was like how many cubic inch coverage you had to have or some shit like that. But we get solar panels all damn day long, really cheap actually. So it didn't really much matter. And I didn't have any expectation of like it doing the thing that they wanted it to do. So it runs some fucking night lights and shit, runs a damn carport and shit like that. But it's just not, you're not running your house off the shit. But EDQ, what are you guys up to? We were talking about what schizophrenia, adaptable. The exact causes of schizophrenia are currently unknown.
I don't know, but I think Chris is trying to suck his own dick over there.
Oh, he might be having another vertigo. This is what
Yeah,
happened.
I started spinning. I'm
My bad. Inappropriately timed joke.
That's okay. I don't know how I suck my own dick like this anyway, but yeah, no.
I get to
don't.
see the top of your head on screen. Oh, you're laying. Yeah, okay. I
Feel-
thought
You
you
usually figure that out as a kid.
Feel
whether
free
you
to make all the
can or
jokes you
not.
want. Like I'm immune to jokes. You can make all the jokes you want.
Oh,
about
you're
anyone.
immune to jokes, are you?
Yeah, I think he's immune to jokes. I think he's serious. He's immune to them.
I'll laugh at them, but I mean, they don't bug me. People can make people like what Ron like came here and made some savage one-liners about my vertigo one day. It doesn't bother me a bit.
What did he say? I missed those.
Oh, I can't. You were on here, right? You were on here at the same time. I can't remember. I don't know. He was making just some jokes about like just I can't remember what they were now. They were funny though. They're real funny.
Has anybody made fun of you for looking like Billy Corgan yet, or is that one open?
I believe I have. I didn't reference Billy Corgan.
I prefer Billy
Okay.
Corgan over. I used to get Kevin Smith, so I prefer that one over Kevin Smith. So,
I would say that's a step in the right direction, so that's not going to work. All right, I'll back to the drawing board.
Whenever I used to be a lot fatter, and I used to constantly have a goatee, and I was a lot fatter, and people used to call me Kevin Smith all the time. So yeah, I don't know.
The killer in you is the killer in me.
I've gotten Jeremy Innick before too. I've gotten a lot of other like indie.
Who? Jeremy Innick?
Jeremy Innick. At one point he was considered the godfather of emo. He was the lead singer of
The
Sunday.
Godfather of emo. What a stupid fucking title.
Hey, the title is stupid. Sunday Real Estate's the fucking shit. Though.
I mean, of all the things to be the godfather of, it'd be like the godfather of fucking pink cupcakes or something. I don't know. Like,
Did you ever see the emo game back in the 2000s? There used to be this Flash game called the emo game. You ever see that? It's not playable now because Flash isn't around anymore. But it used to be this thing called the emo game, and like you could play as one of 20 different like emo stars, stuff like that. And Jeremy Innick was literally God in the game, and he would come and tell you like that. It was a ridiculous game. It was really stupid.
the only thing emo that I recall really as a phenomenon was Dashboard Confessional.
Yeah, he was one of the main. He was one of the main characters in the emo
I think
game.
they're from up here. Who am I thinking of?
I don't think it works anymore because they took down.
No, I'm thinking of
Well,
someone.
here's the thing: the software exists. We could find a version of Flash in a Linux distro or something, and still get it. We can get it operational. And I know there's a Flash preservation project, and the first
Hank, that technology is like moon space travel technology. We lost it. We can't go back. Not going to happen. We recorded over the tapes.
Yeah, basically.
I have an archive.
You could play as Chris Carrabba from Dashboard Confessional, Connor Orbos from Bright Eyes, and you throw vinyl record projectiles at people like fans of Dave Matthews Band and members of Creed on the way to rescue the Get Up Kids from Aerosmith, Steven Tyler.
Now, I don't consider myself emo, but I would love to throw shit at some Dave Matthews Band fans.
It's a really funny thing. There's this one. I think the second one is like there's this whole thing about like is that Enrique Iglesias kidnaps Ian McShane from Fugazi and rapes him to death.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Then he's like, and next I'm going to kidnap your friend Saves the Days, and I'm going to rape their asses and suck their cocks. And it's just like,
What is this from?
The emo game from. It was just this dumb thing that quote unquote emo kids used to know about whenever I was younger.
That was way beyond my generation, thankfully.
Yeah, no, it was a funny little diversion type thing. It wasn't anything to be. It was if you knew the bands at the time, which I did. Like
Bright Eyes, Road to Joy. I actually really like that song. I can't ever remember the name of it, but you said that and it reminded me. Yeah, that's a good song.
most
Carry
most of those bands, I admit, I'm still big fans of. I'm still a huge fan of Bright Eyes.
That's the only song I know is Road to Joy. I don't know any of the other music, but I did like it.
I do like a lot of the bands that were involved with that. And I still can probably remember most of the lyrics to most of Dash Professional songs, even if I don't really like it anymore. But it was a huge part of my teenage years. So
I mean, I was all about the new metal era of the late '90s. That was the golden age of rock. Your Corns, your Limp Bizkits, your baby Slipknots.
Are you being funny?
I recognize that it is probably kind of funny, but no, I'm being dead serious.
Okay.
That's my shit. I mean, I recognize that it's not the golden age of anything. It's probably just kind of like a white trash blip in music history, but it is my favorite.
Korn had a couple good songs. Slipknot had like at least one good song. I will say that. Which other ones you mentioned?
Limp Bizkit, Orgy.
Limp Bizkit only has one good song that's break stuff, in my opinion, because it's the only one that's like that has no pretension to it. It's just the dumbest, most straightforward, just dumb song I've ever heard in my life. And
I mean, all Limp Bizkit songs have that certain level of stupidity that's more than most music has.
But beyond that, most of it could burn to fire. I wouldn't care. But yeah. Lincoln Park. We have in Dallas. We have this radio station that plays nothing but late '90s, early 2000s music. They don't play anything else, and like they play Lincoln Park all the time.
Now that's where the emo and the rap rock genres sort of intertwine, is with Linkin Park. And Stained. God, Stained is such a whiny little bitch.
Yeah. And they didn't start out that way, though. The Stained was pretty hardcore when they started.
You're right. Their first album is good. Second and onward, that dude just got so I don't know. I don't like him. I seen him at a they played it one year at Rock Fest, and he was one of those douchebags that would like stop the show to pretend like he's protecting some girl in the crowd, like stop the show, you leave her alone, but there's nothing fucking going on.
Professional white knight.
Right? You trying to make a headline on some fucking rock blog, you douche?
Well, I guess it's a little better than the Travis Scott mode of things, right?
I don't know. I'd rather see some people get stomped to death, I think, than see one more fake white knight.
Oh god. How many people died at that concert though?
I don't know, 6 or something. I actually have no idea. I never heard of him until after that incident, and then I listened to his music, and I thought it was terrible.
Oh, his music's terrible. The only thing I heard about him.
10 people died.
Only thing I heard about him from was that he had a McDonald's meal named after him, and then I heard a bunch of people died at his concert, and then I heard one of his songs, and it was awful, and I was like, this is what people died for? What the fuck?
Who is he?
He's like a rapper.
He's a rapper, but he's not a good rapper.
He's a very bad rapper.
So they were running out. They're trying to get out of the show because the music was that bad.
I mean, that's what I would think, but I don't think that's what happened. But yeah, I would hope so. I would hope so. I hope they died for trying to escape that horrible show. But I don't know. Like I don't understand. Like there's a bunch of bands like that. I don't understand like why people ever gave a shit about them. But
now, is it possible? And just play the mental exercise with me that the whole thing is a fake story.
It's possible, but there's not a good reason why it would be fake.
I think a lot of stories around music is fake. I think there's a lot of theater around music.
I'd understand if we had bombed Travis Scott afterwards and been a false flag, but since we didn't bomb him afterwards in order to eradicate his music from the planet, I don't see it.
But you could See, that'd be so much more work than just like staging a fake incident, right? You could see that, you could pull that off, like Tupac did.
Yep, good old Tupac, still out there living it up, I'm sure, right? Him and Elvis hanging out. Here's that movie Bubba Hotep.
Yeah, he was contrived. They're all actors.
The movie Bubba Hotep about Elvis and JFK who dyed his skin black. They were living in a retirement home. They fight vampires or something like that. No, mummies.
I don't know about all that. That's before my time and above my pay grade.
It's a great movie, man. You should check it out. It's got Bruce Campbell plays Elvis. It's amazing. It's supposed to be funny.
But I bet it was funny. I just don't get the references.
It's just the idea that Elvis is still alive. He's secretly in a retirement home.
He is alive. I live with him. My roommate won the Elvis contest for our city. I think he
3,000 miles to Graceland is good shit.
Well, yeah, I told you I was good friends with an Elvis impersonator too. The guy that actually was on MTV's Real Life for getting facial reconstructive surgery to look more like Elvis.
Oh,
friends with that guy.
That does not lend any credibility to you, nor you, Jeff. All you people with your Elvis impersonator friends are a suspect.
He's just a roommate. I didn't say we were friends. He's just a roommate.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess,
you're right.
I'm exaggerating when I say we're good friends. I mean, I just mean that I knew him. So
I don't even know not one Elvis impersonator.
I would be proud to claim.
I don't know one Elvis impersonator. Hank, do you? Hank probably does, because look at Frank Sinatra down here.
No, none of you guys ever lived in Las Vegas, though. If you live in Las Vegas long enough, you will know an Elvis.
Yeah, there was. I didn't know one, but I saw plenty of them.
My sister lives in Vegas. I still don't know any.
Well, you don't live there, though. I bet she does.
I bet she doesn't.
This place is filthy with them. You can't walk down the street without running into a Elvis impersonator. It's just they're everywhere. Oh God, I'm so dizzy. Whew.
You want to end early tonight?
No, I mean I'm fine. As long as you guys don't mind me laying here like a moron, I'm fine.
No,
You can go.
Never stopped you before.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet that the background doesn't help.
Nah, it's fine.
That was for our queer Inquisition episode. Would a different background help you? Is he right?
Nah, it doesn't matter. I'm not really looking at the screen that much, to be honest.
Yeah, still less annoying than Cecil Drake. So I had to give Chris props for that.
Maybe if you'd gotten your boosters, this wouldn't be happening to you.
Maybe so. And maybe the solution to the vaccine that gave me the vertigo was more vaccine.
Well, that's sort of like asking government to reform government's problems. So, yeah, try it.
Well, yeah, but who else is going to resolve their problems if not government? That's what government is.
People have to resolve their own problems when people try to get lazy.
Yes. But if government particularly has a problem, it's up to the people that constitute the government to use that government to correct or solve a governmental problem. It's a dynamic.
No, you stop requesting things from the because government is set up in a way.
I thought you meant if not government helping non-governmental people. I thought you meant with the government itself.
Well, let me give you an example. I think that protesting is a fucking joke, right?
Me too. I agree with you there.
I don't know why.
We have Mardi Gras where I come from. I don't understand protest culture at all. If I'm going to be in the street with a bunch of people hollering, yelling, it's going to be at Mardi Gras.
It's going to be for us to see some titties.
They're angry. They're like out in the street, angry about stuff. That is so foreign to me.
But like, imagine the inverse logic of a hypothetically, like let's say like they're voting on more gun control, and it hasn't passed, and then people are outside protesting that. So the government so far does not have the authority to do what they're proposing, giving themselves the authority to do, and to try to prevent them from giving that authority, you're going to go ask them not to have that authority, thereby giving them the authority before they've given it to themselves. It's fucking asinine.
I understood it was for two reasons, kind of like to vent, to give people an outlet for their frustration, and to raise grassroots momentum or awareness on an issue.
Yeah, it gets people out there to do something, and it
Right.
says, well, there's someone out there controlling.
Go
those
do
people.
something useless instead of, I don't know.
So
meanwhile, we all
Flow State protesting is a joke, but jokes are subversive. So,
But
there you
if
go.
they didn't protest, then there'd be no excuse to riot and steal stuff. You don't understand. See, like that's
that's true.
Well, that's not a protest anymore.
It's like Black Friday, but better.
If like I mean, there's a certain part of the population that every time an quote unquote unarmed black man gets killed by a police officer, they must just jump for joy inside.
What did I do that was on fire? What was that in reference to? I don't disagree. I just curious.
I don't know. It depends on what he means by on fire.
And I was seeing on speaking of on fire, that's how I would think it would be more effective way to deal with government than protests. Like you only have to deal with lighting one senator's kid on fire, probably for a long time.
Now. I'm trying to keep my channel as long as I can.
I have long said this. Okay, so if people were really politically angry and they wanted to go riot against something, why didn't they go to the rich neighborhoods where all those?
Well, they did. They went to the Supreme Court justice's house over. Was it Kavanaugh's house?
They didn't try to burn them down, though, did they? I don't know how they did their own.
It got pretty contentious. I was watching the footage and I was even nervous.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely.
It was a nice, like, fancy white people neighborhood, and they were outside of his house terrorizing him.
Yeah, it's a Israel protest. Yeah, so yeah, people do protest in nice neighborhoods. That's true.
But they weren't like they were looting stores and everything in their own neighborhoods. They weren't going and looting like mansions and rich people's houses in general. Like I'm just saying, I'm not saying they should do either one of those things, but I'm saying one of those things makes sense to do, the other one doesn't.
Which one makes sense to do?
Looting the rich people's houses.
Well,
if you're angry,
they
have weapons. No, I'm not gonna do that. They have the weapons. They have the mean dogs. No.
Oh, come on. Let's think about all those people that were going to go like raid Area 51 because they're just going to Naruto run in there. They just did the same thing. They can't hit them all.
But they can. They can definitely get all the Naruto runners for sure.
Yeah, they too slow. If there's some runners, maybe.
How do they not get all the fucking people breaking into Louis Vuitton stores and Apple stores and shit? Those people don't have. Those places don't have security.
Not really.
Have you ever seen night shift security guards?
Or day shift security guard.
I've been a night shift security guard. Yeah, we don't.
My point exactly. You can't stand.
Exactly. In fact, you can probably do that now if you want.
Yeah, you should be a security guard.
But you're saying rich people mansion houses, they would actually have armed like guns and everything.
Absolutely. They hire combat vets who just left their tour,
Yeah, that's probably true.
It is true. I have a buddy who does that work now.
Yeah, I don't want to raid Illuminatomi's house. I'd rather go raid the mall because those guards won't get off their ass to do much or anything. They don't care. Everything's insured.
I feel like it would be easy to sneak up on Illuminatomi though.
Yeah, but if you do get caught, then you have worse consequences than getting.
But it's true. I'll just think you're a shadow person anyway.
All right, fellas, it's late. I'm going to take a shower and go to bed. Good talk. I'm glad that we resolved the trans issue.
Yeah, it's good. Yep. Once again, we've resolved all the trans issues.
That's what we do here. We resolve all issues.
Excellent work, gentlemen. We have saved a lot of children from being converted improperly.
Can't wait to do it again next week.
Yeah, take care.
Later on.
You want to call it a night? You look like you were ready to cash out too.
I mean, my mind's awake. I'm just dizzy. What's up with you, Joshua? You've been quiet as shit. Are you still there?
The wife has to take the ball gag out.
Okay. Hank
Yeah,
left too.
we might as well end it.
I guess so. Well, it was three. We went 3 hours and 20
Yeah,
minutes.
that's fine. I gotta eat anyway and unwind. I'll be there tomorrow, same time.
Hey, there's this movie. This movie I started watching earlier. I had it. Had it was playing it before.
Oh, I saw that. Some of the lake, under the lake, or Silver
Under, yeah,
Lake.
Under the Silver Lake. I think you'd like it. It's kind of like basically the movie is about this guy who gets obsessed at thinking that there's like these conspiracies all around him, and I'm not really sure where it's going, but I'm pretty sure the payoff is going to be that there are no conspiracies, that he's just all in his head, and it's just about him just seeing patterns everywhere. So it might.
Do you want to watch Mascots?
Yeah, you can put it on if you want to. I'm not gonna be able to sleep for a while, so you can put it on.
No, I want to watch it one day where you can sit through it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna be able to sleep, so I'll lay here and put it on the. I'll just hook up the TV and I'll watch it.
Okay, well let's do that, and then we can maybe do Silver Lake. Another one I want to watch that I haven't seen is The Road.
Yeah, that movie's depressing as shit. But we can watch it.
That's what I heard, but I still want to see it.
It's depressing as
It's been
shit.
on my list for a while. I just keep forgetting about it.
It's not even just the fact the source material is depressing, and the source material is depressing, but like the tone of the movie is just like so dark and dour. But yeah, I played a movie in the channel earlier just because like I wanted to watch it. I just figured like if I'm gonna feel like watching a movie, I'm just gonna put it in the channel anyway. See if
that's what I'm starting to do.
And I played this movie called Faults, and like I'd be happy to play that one. Joshua said he'd be back in a while. Well, we won't be here, but yeah, this movie called Faults. It's really cool. It's this really cool movie about this dude's like a cult deprogrammer, and he's trying to deprogram this chick and this like kind of like this cat and mouse game between them. It's a pretty good movie. It's just a fun movie. It doesn't have. But I thought about it because I was talking to Neurojack earlier, and he reminded me that like at one point I was developing like this kind of radio play or like a podcast, a fiction podcast kind of thing. That was kind of like around a similar theme. It's kind of an interesting idea. I was trying to rethink about it, but I might play that again in the thing. Check it out if you
can. I put Mascots on after this?
Yeah. Put Mascots on.
I'm gonna go do that then. I'm gonna go.
All right.
Get some.
I'll just go into
like what, 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, I'll just go into the channel. I'll just wait until it comes on.
Okay, it won't be long.
All right, man. See you there.
Okay, thanks everybody. We'll be here tomorrow at our usual time, 2 p.m. Central, and see you then.
Yeah, Adaptable. Hey, man, Adaptable. Feel free to come by and watch the movie, man. If you want, if you're looking for something to do.
Yeah, if you, I don't know if you're in the Discord, but contact one of us for a link.
Yeah, if you want to go
to the Discord, to watch Mascots. It's a Christopher Guest movie. It's probably closest to like Best in Show, and we're gonna hang out and watch that.
Yeah.
So
feel free to come on by. If you're not in the Discord, just let us know and we will get you a Discord link later, man. Because I know you're in Lacey. I think you're on my Discord list. So just message me, man. Bye.
Take care.